declaration at some point this morning.
I do think the potential inclement weather on Saturday might be on their minds. When I checked the radar today, it did appear that their Saturday looks like it could well be very wet. So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see how they approach things. I think probably first 5, maybe 10 overs. I think they'll continue to play in the way they did largely throughout the most of the day yesterday, where they'll just be pretty conservative, I imagine, play to a pretty tight game plan. But it'll be interesting to see from that point onwards, after the first, say, 40 minutes, whether they look to kick on and produce a bigger score as quickly as possible.
I guess it depends, right, on what's their priority from this. Is it, to guarantee a result, or is it to get as many guys game time out in the middle as possible? I mean, we think the seam attack will be pretty different next week at Lords, but that top six looks like it's going to be pretty reasonably locked in, dare I say. It's pretty experienced. It's what people would have guessed would be their lineup against England. So do they want to try and get a second hit at some point and get those guys another run out? It's funny, we walked in this morning and Kane Williamson was having a net just behind us, and Daryl Mitchell, and I assume the Black Caps batting coach, were going over some technical points. It was great, actually. You could get right up behind him and just stand there and watch. And he's talking about his hand placement and all this type of stuff. It was really it was good to see, but is that enough for those guys who are experienced, or do they want another go in the middle in a competitive environment before next week?
I think any conversation you have with anyone within the group here, just talk about how much of a team environment this is, and therefore, you're not so focused on an individual's performance, right? So with that in mind, I can only see them focusing on how they're going to be best placed to get a result in this game today. I don't think they're going to look any further ahead than that. Everyone's getting an opportunity who's in the 11 to spend some time in the middle, whether that be with bat or ball. It's the nature of the game, right? Not everyone's going to take their opportunity. But no, I'd be shocked if they're looking too far ahead, other than trying to understand, obviously, what's happening with the wicket this morning. 5-10 overs, have a look, and then maybe look to be a little bit more positive. We see Tom Blundell just making his way out of the tent and getting ready to make his way onto the pitch for the day.
Yeah, 2 umpires have just come onto the field. There's about 2.5 minutes to go until the scheduled start. Of course, the 2 officials are Alex Wharf of England and Rod Tucker of Australia. Ireland's own Rolly Black is the TV umpire. A reminder that TV umpires for line calls only, so run-outs, and I think if they're checking run-outs, they have the capacity to check no balls, every ball, which tends to be the norm these days in Test cricket. But there is no DRS, so no Hawkeye for LBWs or Snicko. Yeah, it is Snicko these days. Hotspot's gone, isn't it? Yeah, I always get confused over which one they're using. But here come the players. Decent crowd in this morning. Probably not quite as busy as yesterday, but we'll see how that gets on over the course of the day, whether that increases. Mercifully, they've turned off the PA speakers next to us. We can hear ourselves think today. You said when you were listening to us in the afternoon, it didn't come over the microphones, the music, but it was more so we just couldn't hear ourselves.
Correct, yeah, it was coming across loud and clear. You could hear Ali's voice pretty clearly, so even though he's not, technically on with us, he still very much was.
Here with us in spirit, if not in body. Right, what do you reckon for Ireland then? What's the approach here? Because I think, look, when Ireland tend to play these games when they serve as a warm-up for bigger teams, like the last time was probably England in 2023 at Lords when they were warming up for the Ashes, and I think that everyone was a little bit disappointed at the standard of kind of prep that Ireland provided for England. I mean, yesterday morning they provided a good standard for the Black Caps. They reminded a few blokes of the importance of knowing where their off stump was, that type of thing. But then we did get into the kind of slightly the dreaded difficult afternoon softball flat pitch. So where do they go from here? Can they find a way of manufacturing dismissals, do you think?
Yeah, look, I do think first 5-10 overs here, I do think there's going to be, it's still a relatively new ball. What are we, sort of 15 to 18 overs into that second new ball?
Well, Tom Mays has it, and he bowls the first ball of the day to Tom Blundell, who lets that one go through to Tucker.
So any time I've played here, doesn't matter where, day 1, 2, 3, there's always a little bit in it for the first 30 to 60 minutes. So I think there'll be a little bit of assistance early on. Ireland would definitely be hoping to open up one end. Obviously, preferably removing Blundell on 140. And you never know, you open up one end, as the old adage goes, one brings two, and you could be right amongst it.
Tom Mays back in past umpire Wharf, down to Blundell, who lets that one go through again. You can see more and more of you are joining, so good morning. Welcome to Stormont in Belfast, New Zealand. Our 361 for 5 overnight. We are into the first over of the day. Tom Blundell is the man set. Well, they're both set, really. He's on strike, unbeaten on 142. Dean Foxcroft is down the other end on 38. Blundell was sensational yesterday. I knew you had to leave for the afternoon, so might not have seen his innings, but look, played plenty of shots as he tends to do, but the way he reverse swept the spinner was just top class early on in his innings. He lets that one go through again. I mean, it really gave Ireland a problem. They couldn't bowl the off spinner to him, and once, as you know, once the one spinner you pick is gone out of the attack, all of a sudden, plans kind of go out the door.
Yeah, and as you touched on there, when Ireland's second spinner Harry Tector came on and dropped a couple short first couple of balls, and then Blundell got into him pulling, and then Tector finally went full fourth ball of the over and then slog swept them deep into the bushes. It just goes to show that, I guess, when you've got the right matchup, you're seeing the ball well, and you've got to capitalise at that particular point.
Well, he certainly did do that, putting on over 200 with Ravindra yesterday, and another leave outside off. Mays is just struggling to make him play a little bit. I think that was probably characteristic of the display yesterday. I think of the 4 Irish seamers, obviously Adair got his 3 wickets, comfortably the pick. I think Wilson was, after him, probably the most accurate. McCarthy tried to go with the short stuff. That's what he's in the team for. He can be a bit expensive when that happens. But I think Tom Mays probably might look back yesterday and just think he didn't quite ask enough questions, didn't get batters playing enough on day one.
Look, I think it's one of the challenges he faces with his height. He does need to be that fraction fuller in order to be hitting the stumps. And as you say, I think Blundell will be happy this morning leaving as many alone as he can.
Well, he finally plays that one, and that one just takes the outside edge. Soft hands, rolls along the carpet to one of the slip fielders. I make it that there's, 2 regulation slips and a gully. Backward point. Extra cover. Well, no, point is actually in front of square, isn't he? So one man on the deep. The marquee is sold me down the river. So there is a deep point. Cover, mid-off, mid-wicket. 2 men back on the hook at square leg, and fine leg for Blundell. Mays turns at the top of his mark. In he comes once again. Shorter this time. Left alone outside off. A maiden to start the day. The Black Caps 1 over into proceedings. Still 361 for 5.
From a batting perspective this morning, I think it's been good to see how Blundell's gone about it. You've just scored 140 unbeaten on day 1. You come back into day 2, really easy at times to lull, fall into that sort of false sense of security of, I can just keep going here. But goes to show, what has he played now? 50, 60 test matches. He's got that experience, 45, sorry. He's got that experience to know that he's got to start again. He's got to have a look, get himself back into that rhythm in order to launch again, and obviously try and push New Zealand on towards that sort of 400-500 mark, and probably ideally bat once and try and put pressure on Ireland. And what I'm really interested to see actually from this wicket is it going to turn later on? And, both teams haven't really selected a genuine frontline attacking spinner, so it'd be interesting to see the impact that has on the game.
Ruben Wilson, not Mark Adair, interestingly, is going to open the bowling from the Castle end. In he comes, full straight. Foxcroft defends that one into the offside. Foxcroft bowls a few offies, doesn't he? So we'll probably see him at some point, but looking through the rest of that lineup, is there much else spin-wise?
Look, Foxcroft would not be a specialist spin bowler. He's very much a batting all-rounder. So, if you've got the likes of Glenn Phillips, who's not here, Michael Brace will probably be the 2 frontline options for New Zealand batters who bowl good right-arm off-spin. Foxcroft would clearly now sees himself in that sort of 3rd position, so he'd be making the most of that. But no, he's not the type of bowler who'll be bowling 20 overs for 40. I think there'll be opportunities to score from him for sure.
Wilson in again. He's got 3 slips in for Foxcroft. That's driven through the covers and not quite timed by Foxcroft. It might just get to the boundary. I think Carmichael's done very well. Diving stop out at deep cover. He's gone clattering into the advertising hoardings, but he's up, he's okay, and he saves a run. Foxcroft, with the first runs of the morning, comes back for a 3rd. New Zealand now 364 for 5. Interesting to note, actually, Mark Adair is not on the field. Matthew Humphreys has started the day out there as 12th man. We'll see if we can find out what's going on there. Very unusual, you would suspect, for one of the 11 to not be out there, especially Mark Adair, given how important he is with the ball. So that to me suggests something is amiss. We'll see if we can find out what, if anything, is wrong with Adair. Wilson in again, full, defended by Blundell, no run.
Very different start in Foxcroft's first couple of balls. He was a little bit crease bound to the first ball from Wilson, which was probably hitting the top of the stumps. Very good length, sort of that indecision in between lengths delivery. And then second ball, Foxcroft obviously saw enough length there to attack through the offside, and Blundell back on strike for the third ball of the over in a forward defensive shot out into the offside.
Yeah, there's a rare bit of width from Wilson. He's across yesterday. He was very tight to that off stump. He wasn't driven often, and he's not driven there either. Honing in an off stump, Blundell respects that delivery, defends into the offside. It's his MO, isn't it, Wilson? He's just going to run in and try and hit that off stump all day. He's not the quickest. Look, we mentioned a few times. He's not the biggest kid in the world. He's only 19. He almost certainly will fill out a little bit, but that's what he does in a nutshell. He runs in and he just tries to hit off stump all day.
So far, look, I'm really impressed. It's the first I've seen of him, and I think for a guy his age, his control's been great. And as you know, at this age, you're only going to get better. Hopefully he's going to get stronger, and his sort of strength and endurance to be able to maintain his pace across the day will increase too.
Wilson in again, little bit shorter this time, but quite straight, and defended once again by Blundell, no run. Yeah, I think the durability piece with him is the key. I think, he's already had a couple of stresses in his back, stress fractures, Wilson. So, you hope, I think the Ireland staff are hoping that it's a case of, look, he was just a young kid bowling too much and wasn't quite ready for those bowling loads, because he's playing under 19 cricket since the age of 15. So, he kind of shot up to that level very young, and they're hoping as he gets older and gets stronger, he's better able for the toils of fast bowling at this level. A little bit straighter this time, tucked into the leg side, but it's picked up by Liam McCarthy at mid-wicket. End of the over, so 3 runs from that. 1 drive through the covers by Foxcroft. 364 for 5. Blundell yet to score this morning. He's on 142. Foxcroft has moved into the 40s. 41 of 55 deliveries faced.
Yeah, just on the idea of fast bowlers and fitness, and it seems to be the fast bowlers' rite of passage that they're going to be injury issues, and a combination now of the sports science that teams have access to, the strength and conditioning coaching that you have, seems to be a great opportunity to sort of pick up on data, understand a player's technique, how that's impacting their ability to last for over after over, day after day, especially when we're playing red ball forms. So hopefully there's some opportunities there to him to continue to grow and get stronger in the gym and be able to deal with the rigours of international cricket, because I see a big future there.
Yeah, he's been earmarked for a long time as a future international, and he's made his debut this week as that's banged in by Mays. Just had a look halfway down the pitch, and Foxcroft wasn't too comfortable, kind of just works it off the hip one-handed. The hand came off the bat there, didn't it? But he does steer it into the leg side, and he takes a single to get down the other end.
Yeah, Foxcroft inadvertently has just opened the door there, I think, for Ireland to have a look at that a little bit more. He looked really uncomfortable playing that sort of flinch, trying to get the ball away from his rib cage. There's no man in close on the leg side, but it might be something they want to look at, especially with McCarthy coming into the attack and hopefully not too far away.
Blundell on strike now. Mays goes fuller this time, left alone outside the off stump. Blundell remains disciplined. Yeah, they had a brief look at some of the short stuff in the afternoon session yesterday, Ireland, but Blundell less so. I think he was happy kind of getting out of the way of it, but Ravindra took it on and just very quickly put an end to that idea. Just the way he pulled the ball in front of square. Yes, it's a sluggish pitch, but still, to be able to have that bat speed and take on balls from his nose, basically, and pull in front of square, it was really impressive. And Ireland very quickly said, right, well, we're not going to feed him that shot anymore.
Yeah, interesting. Clearly, Ravindra has made a name for himself in white ball cricket, taking that shot on, so it was great to see it yesterday.
Mays in again, very full, almost a Yorker length this time. Tucker spills behind the stumps as it beats Blundell. Half a cry for it caught behind. I mean, Tucker didn't take it cleanly anyway, but I think that was just bat jamming down on the ground as Blundell was beaten by a surprise Yorker.
Just something of note as well, the 2 batsmen yesterday, Ravindra and Blundell, growing up on playing a lot of their domestic cricket on the Basin Reserve, renowned for having good pace, good bounce. So in terms of the short stuff, they've been tested from a pretty young age when it comes to that. And Blundell was tested no more than the 120 he got against Australia at the MCG.
Mays in again. Blundell defends on the back foot. That one looked like it kept a little bit low. Point does the fielding. Interesting. Okay, so everyone in Australia always says, if you're from Perth, bouncy wickets, you can play the short ball. Is that the Kiwi equivalent then in the Basin Reserve? If you're from that part of the country, you tend to be good against the short stuff?
It's probably something that's happened more over the last 10 to 15 years, where anyone watching Test cricket in New Zealand on TV would have seen that a lot of the pitches are a lot greener. The groundsmen are leaving a lot more grass on the wickets. So yeah, day one it's spicier, but you're probably not seeing the expected level of seam movement, and in the end they're holding together really well and creating great tests.
Mays in, heavy length, left alone. Blundell continues to be good outside his off stump.
But yeah, in that innings I referred to, that 120 at the MCG a few years ago now, Blundell was playing as an opener actually. He came in for the third test and replacing Jeet Raval, and New Zealand had really struggled against Australia's new ball attack, as most top order teams have. And it was incredible. They tested him on the short ball. MCG, not renowned for being the bounciest of tracks, but incredible innings and really sort of stamped his mark on international cricket, showing that he can do it against the best in their own backyard.
Was that the infamous Neil Wagner series where he just had a one-man go at Steve Smith and just bowled nothing but balls halfway down the pitch at him for a month? Mays in. Well, speaking of balls halfway down, he's had a look upstairs with Blundell, and he was very early on that pull shot. He ends up clothing it out to deep square and taking a very, very slow single down the other end. End of the over. New Zealand 366 for 5. Was it that series, or was it a different one?
So that series, yes, Wagner did enjoy targeting Steve Smith with a short ball barrage, but he also did it actually in at least one series, if not two series, in New Zealand, where Steve Smith's clearly a very difficult guy to remove, and that was one option New Zealand had. And I think the nature of Wagner being, relatively short for a fast bowler, 5'10", maybe I'm being slightly generous there, but his ability to run in all day and bowl quick, and continue to maintain a pace and obviously a trajectory that's actually quite awkward to deal with on the short ball. Mays, for example, a lot taller, the ball tends to bounce more consistently. Wagner's sort of that different trajectory, which is incredibly difficult.
Wilson to continue here, and Ireland made a change. We'll talk about it after this delivery as Blundell works that one off the hip. There's work to do for deep square. They might come back for 2. They will. It's an excellent piece of running. It's very tight in the end. It's a good throw from Doheny in the deep, but he just picked the gap at deep square, Blundell, and came back for 2 nicely. But what Ireland have done here is they brought wicketkeeper Lorcan Tucker standing up to the stumps with Wilson. He's not express pace, but I like that. Just something different. Keep Blundell in his crease, give him something different to think about. They didn't really do any of that yesterday.
Yeah, I think I'd be interested in seeing the speedball radar. I do think Wilson's potentially a little bit stiff this morning. It's not coming out with quite as much vigour as it was yesterday. So, yeah, really good call. As you say, having the keeper up just allows Ireland to keep tabs on where Blundell's starting from. He's not going to start outside his crease. He has to start behind the crease.
Well, Wilson in again. Tucker up to the stumps. This is leading edge, and it lands just short of Matthew Humphreys at cover. Blundell is looking to work that one towards wide-ish mid-on, and you can see he's just practicing playing that with a straighter bat. I think he just closed it a little bit early, didn't he? The bat face, and a leading edge could easily have looped up to the fielder.
Yeah, just another sign that this wicket is slightly on the slow side, potentially a little bit inconsistent, which I think bodes well as the test match progresses for seeing a result and seeing something different here. You do want the surface to change condition as the game goes on. And yeah, batsmen are going to have to look to play straight first until the opportunity presents itself to go squarer.
Wilson again. Blundell still deep in his crease with the wicketkeeper up. Bang in delivery, worked into the leg side, no run. I suppose the other thing about the keeper coming up is it's probably a reasonably safe option for Tucker, in the sense that Wilson hasn't given him much work to do. He's bowling so straight. If he continues along this trajectory, the odds of a difficult take coming through to him are actually quite low, you'd suspect.
Potentially, I think the danger is it's really difficult to take an edge when you're standing up at that kind of pace. So I assume it's more about trying to keep Blundell back in his crease so that Wilson can attack the stumps with a little bit more interest.
Well, that's a bit of width from Wilson. He's not offered much of that so far today, and it's punched on the back foot by Blundell out to deep point. He picks up another single, taking the score to 369 for 5.
Well, one of the tactics a batsman might take if a bowler's bowling really consistent line and length is to look to move outside of his crease to try and manipulate length a little bit more. And, some of the best players will change ball to ball potentially depending on how a bowler is bowling, so that you can try and impact the bowler's length and give yourself an opportunity to maybe get on the front foot more, maybe get on the back foot. So bringing the keeper up just takes that out of the equation.
Yeah, and he's staying up with Foxcroft now on strike, so it's not a one-batter ploy, so to speak, as that's worked into the leg side. A bit of work for Square Leg, who had come up into the ring. He keeps it to just 1, so Foxcroft moves to 43 now. Maybe we're applying too much causation to this here, but by being deeper in his crease, Blundell it allowed the ball an extra distance to travel to him, didn't it? And so therefore, when it stops in the crease, you just have a little bit more time. You have to wait for it, and that ball that did stop, and he closed his bat face a little bit early. It did create, not half a chance. It landed 6 feet in front of Humphreys, but it did create something different and a different challenge for him, didn't it? Wilson in again, Blundell back on strike. There's now a catching mid-wicket in play as well, maybe for that one that stops in the crease and balloons up off an edge. But 98 overs have now been bowled by Ireland. They were supposed to get through 98 yesterday, but it's taken them 15 minutes into day 2 to get to that mark. 370 for 5.
Yeah, largely watchful start from the Black Caps batsmen so far. Ireland have pretty much bowled stump to stump. Mays maybe a little bit wider outside off stump, but Wilson now with the keeper up very much in that stump to stump line. So, just ticking the scoreboard over so far. No audacious cricket. Blundell probably a little bit more watchful than Foxcroft so far. So it'll be interesting to see how that pans out as the morning progresses.
We've got word from Barry that Ali, who's Barry, is here watching the game. He's a listener to the podcast. Mays continues, left alone by Foxcroft. I think this is the first time Foxcroft has faced Mays this morning. But Barry's been in touch, and he said you could actually hear Ali on the PA next to us clearer via the radio than you could on the far side of the ground, which is where most of the punters are sitting. So if you want to hear Ali, tune into the radio. Just if you're at the ground, there is a delay. So apologies for that. Chairman of Selectors, Andrew White, is just wandering around close to us. Maybe somebody might ask him what's going on with Mark Adair, why he's not around. As far as I can see, there's been no announcement from Ireland of any injury. I think Ellie's going to go on a mission to see if he can find out what's going on. Mays continues. Foxcroft is safely in behind that one. The sun continues to shine here at Stormont. Ali McCalmont is looking resplendent in his hat and sunglasses. You got your sun cream on, Ali? You've been reminding the good people of Stormont the dome. The bald dome has got the sun cream on. Ellie, Ali didn't like me calling him bald there. Eddie, you went on an information scout. Have you found out anything?
He's been sick all night apparently,
so really?
That does not bode well. But who knows? Hopefully a miraculous recovery, and we might see him later today.
Oh wow, that's not pleasant at all. Mays in again. Foxcroft just shuffles forward a little bit. Well, unlikely Tucker's going to come up to the stumps to Mays just with his extra bounce. That's defended into the offside. That is not what you want today in the heat. Bowling. How many overs did he bowl yesterday? I'm going to say he bowled 20 overs. As I pull up the scorecard, bang on 20 overs, 3 for 66, 6 maidens. Day in the heat. Oh, sounds like he's eaten something dodgy potentially if he's been sick all night. The last thing, losing a lot of fluids, shall we say, the last thing you want to do is have to come out and bowl another 20 overs. Well, we'll hear if there's any more updates. I suspect if he's been sick all morning, he's not at the ground. He's probably back at the hotel, but we'll see if we hear anything else. But reminder that Matthew Humphreys is on as 12th man. The leader of Ireland's attack, Mark Adair, is not here. He is ill. Tom Mays in. Oh, half a shout for LBW. Was that sliding down? Was there a bit of inside edge? I think Foxcroft is pointing to the bat. Alex Wharf not interested.
Yeah, once again, I think just a sign that Foxcroft is sitting back a little bit against Mays. He failed to pick that one up early and see that it was a full delivery and was on it quite late and managed to get an inside edge. Otherwise, I would imagine that's fairly adjacent, and umpire Wolf would have had his finger up pretty quickly.
Yeah, interesting from Mays. He's bowled that a few times now, hasn't he? That just surprise Yorker. It's good skills because he's tried a few short balls, like genuine bumpers. He's bowled his natural heavy length, and he's also tried a few Yorkers. So he's trying something different, given this ball doesn't look to be giving too much assistance early on, as that's another full delivery that comes off the inner half of Foxcroft's bat, flies out to deep square. He comes through for a single.
Yeah, tough wee period for Foxcroft here. Foxcroft actually has just motioned to Blundell from the non-strikers end that may have actually shaped back into him. So, as you alluded to there, good skills, being able to shape the ball back in. Mays typically takes the ball away from the right-hander. So, just a sign, as we talked about, the first sort of 30 to 60 minutes testing period for New Zealand's batsmen to get through before heading into the easier period when things start to flatten out.
Yeah, 371 for 5, the Black Caps. Let's tickle down the leg side. Ireland is celebrating. They think that's off bat. Umpire Worf says it's off the thigh pad. I think that was an opportunistic celeb repeal from Lorcan Tucker trying to buy a dismissal. But it's the end of the over, 371 for 5. Blundell's still there on 146.
So just a little bit of insight into Foxcroft's first-class career. He's played 42 matches, largely batting inside the top 6, averaging a tick under 32, just the 200s. From a bowling perspective, best bowling of an innings of 6 for 84. He's got 63 wickets in his 42 matches, and that's bowling in 58 innings. So just a sign again that he's not your genuine front-line spinner, but yet his average of 30.5 suggests that maybe he's been a little bit underutilised.
Interesting. And what is he? Is he Central Districts, is he? Yeah.
He's moved to a couple of associations. He's South African, but started in New Zealand at Central Districts, moved to Otago, and then just recently gone back to Central Districts.
Wilson continues, and Foxcroft, man, we were just talking about, is on strike, deep in his crease, on the back foot, punches to mid-off, where... Who's that under the floppy hat? Nobody was wearing a floppy yesterday, but somebody there has got one on, and he fields for... keeps Foxcroft on strike. It's Jake Egan, so Ireland have another sub on. They're dropping like flies. Not quite sure who else has gone off. I'm sure Roger might be able to do a quick scan and count, get his fingers out and count how many players are missing. But yeah, reminder, Matthew Humphreys is on semi-permanently with Mark Adair sick overnight. Wilson, he's making him play again. Oh, that's a good pickup by Curtis Camphor, I think that is, at short mid-wicket, keeping Foxcroft on strike. Right, seems to... Yeah, I think you're right. It looks like the skipper's gone off, because if he would be out there, he'd be at slip. And at the minute, it's Harry Tector who's the lone slipper. There is a man at gully as well. So Camphor's at gully, so that was someone else doing the fielding at mid-wicket previously. Yeah, hopefully that's just a comfort break for Balbirnie, because if he's gone and Adair is gone, that's a lot of intellectual property gone off the field for Ireland on what could be a difficult day in the field. Full straight defended by Foxcroft, no run. Interesting, I didn't realise he was South African. It's similar to here, isn't it? Quite a lot of South Africans have ended up in New Zealand. There's a few in the Irish team as well. Carmichael, McCarthy, Camphor himself. Albeit quite a few of those boys have come over quite young. I think Liam McCarthy came over straight out of school. Cade was a similar age when he came to Ireland, wasn't he? I think he was about 18, 19. Camphor as well, he was about 20 years old. He had a passport, so we didn't have to come over and qualify. I think his grandmother was from Derry, I believe. Wilson continues. Oh, he likes this LBW shout. No one else does. Lorcan Tucker motions that it's going down leg. Rod Tucker shakes his head. Yeah, there was always a funny story about Camphor, because he originally came to my old club in YMCA, which is obviously in Dublin, not based in the north. And, like the good, nice South African boy he was, he kind of... He referred to the place of his grandmother's birth in the same way she would have. So he came in and he said, "Oh yeah, my grandmother's from Londonderry." And of course, everyone in Dublin said, "Come again?" So I think he quickly started referring to it as Derry after that. Wilson continues. Wrapped Foxcroft on the pat of the previous delivery, and he goes straight again, and it's tucked away off the hip. They should come back for a second down through fine leg. Mays with a little bit of a fumble, but they do come through for 2. Foxcroft is now on 46.
Yeah, just on the topic of foreign-born players, Foxcroft indeed, yes, born in South Africa, played for the South African under-19s. Devon Conway, New Zealand's opening batsman, also South African. Didn't come to New Zealand until his mid-20s, I believe. So very much, both those players had to really earn their stripes playing domestic cricket. Conway in particular banged the door down with some incredibly productive seasons for Wellington before getting his opportunity. And they're not alone. There are many players obviously doing similar things throughout the globe.
Wilson in again, full straight, defended by Foxcroft. End of the over. A watchful start from this Kiwi pair this morning. 373 for 5 after 100 overs to be bowled. Balbirnie's back on, so he was just off to use the facilities, I think. Jake Egan has departed. Matthew Humphreys is still out there. Mark Adair is sick, is the word we have received. It's an interesting one because with a lot of the South Africans who come to Ireland, quite a lot of them come up north because a lot of South Africans would have UK passports. So it's easy for them to come here. I mean, is there any sort of similar historical link between South Africa and New Zealand, or do they all go over and then have to do residency and qualify?
So I grew up playing my age group cricket in Auckland, and we had an influx of South African families from around the mid-1990s, where pretty much every team I played in had 2 or 3 South Africans in it, and I can assure you it increased the team's capability with both bat and ball significantly. So we were very pleased, but what we found was quite an interesting experience once we went to the national sort of provincial tournaments where anybody who had a slightly foreign name, the likes of De Border, we had a couple of De Borders in our age group teams, and because we had other South Africans, all of the other provinces just assumed that those types of players were also South African, and that we actually had 6 or 7.
Mays did bowl another Yorker to Blundell there. He dug it out. It's been a delivery he's used well this morning as Tom Mays, also originally from South Africa. In comes the Warringstown man that's guided on the back foot, pass slip, and that'll be a boundary for Tom Blundell, and that will bring up his 150. Another milestone for the Black Caps wicketkeeper. He continues to churn out the runs here. Pretty sure that's his first boundary of the day, but he's been watchful to start and just guides that one through the cordon for 4.
I believe it's the second time he's passed 150 in first class cricket. His first class best is 153, so certainly the first time in Test cricket. He had a great time on the previous New Zealand Tour of England 3 or 4 years ago, where he scored 300s in that series. So he's shaping up well, and his average in Europe in Test cricket looks. I think he's in and around 100 at the moment.
Yeah, he likes batting over. I remember that tour. Him and Daryl Mitchell got quite a few runs on that tour as well, didn't he? That was the first Bazball home series, I think. Oh, cries of catch it. I think that might have come off the inside edge. It's wrong-footed Tucker. We'll see what the umpire signals. No, it's come off the thigh pad. So it's flown away just to the left-hand side of the wicketkeeper, and it's back-to-back boundaries, albeit this one is leg buys. 381 for 5 now in New Zealand. Yeah, that was a great tour. That was a great series.
Well, look, as a New Zealand fan, it wasn't so great to see us getting hammered in the 4th innings pretty much every match when England just made those flat wickets look like State Highway 1. But, yeah, New Zealand were rescued on a number of occasions by Mitchell and Blundell's long partnerships through the middle order there. So, and at that time, New Zealand had a really good bowling attack as well, with the likes of Bolton Southey still playing. But, yeah, it'd be a slightly different series this time around, and interesting to see how England handle the sort of fallout of the Ashes.
Mays has conceded back-to-back boundaries here, and he follows up with a good length ball outside off. Blundell leaves it alone. The wind is just picking up here, as you can probably hear, as the marquee around us starts to rattle. Yeah, I was just looking at a bit of stuff on Blundell yesterday morning before we started, and I couldn't get over. Sorry, not how old he is. 35 is not old in the grand scheme of things, but I just assumed he was younger. I mean, he's been around a while, but he's only played 44 tests. At the age of 35, if he was English, he probably would have played 144 tests by the time he got to that stage.
Yeah, he came into the side actually as a replacement batsman, and it wasn't until BJ Watling's retirement that he's ended up picking up the gloves. So he's had to change roles, and he's obviously making a good fist of it.
Mays in again, short and pulled, and that was not a convincing pull shot at all from Blundell. I think it's just come flush off the toe of the bat, and it's landed about 6 inches in front of his foot there.
Yeah, just another sign that this wicket is potentially a little bit too paced. A couple of edges falling short of the cordon there, and that one definitely blundled too early on. So, yeah, be really interesting to see how the wicket continues to progress as this Test match pans out.
Yeah, the first time we've kind of seen a full shot from Blundell on the short one. Like Ravindra yesterday, he played it pretty well. He tended to try and just get on top of the bounce and ride it and hit it behind square. He didn't quite go as aggressive as Ravindra, front foot pulling the ball for 6 over mid-wicket. I think he brought up his 100 that way, Rog, didn't he, with a big shot over mid-wicket. No, Ravindra. Blundell brought it up with a reverse sweep. Driven nicely, but straight to cover. Awkward landing there in front of Humphreys, but he does well, cuts it off at the end of the over. I think we're half an hour in. If Rog wants a stint, you stick around for another couple of minutes if you fancy Alik. 381 for 5. Yeah, you do another few minutes and I'll go see where our other comms have gone. But watchful start this morning from the Kiwis. 381 for 5. Here's Roger.
Thanks, Nathan. Good morning, Mark, and good morning, all the listeners. Nice to get on with you, Mark, if you don't mind lingering for a bit.
Absolutely.
I was just looking at, always good chat about Blundell. His previous Test best was a 138 made at Mount Maunganui, in fact, in a pink ball game that I was very lucky to attend. So I remember that being quite a counter-attacking knock again. He came in, the Kiwis were in trouble, and England ended up winning that game pretty easily. But it shows his fighting qualities like that. I think that's what I've always seen from him. And again, he's come in, 84 for 6, 86 for 4 was a little bit of strife yesterday, and he came in and he set the foundation for this big total and been super impressive. Now, there's been a bowling change, and coming away from me at the City end is Liam McCarthy, who slightly back of a length, just tucked in the onside by Foxcroft. There's no run.
Yeah, just on Blundell there, I think he prides himself in being that type of player who can change the way he plays based on the scenario. So like I said, that Mount Maunganui innings might have been more counter-attacking. He's also got the ability to dig in and play the longer innings like he has here today. He's naturally a fluent, attacking player, but he's able to curb that instinct at times when it suits, and he's done that beautifully across this innings. I caught up with him training on Tuesday at the end of training, and he talked about the challenges he's faced over the last few years, just trying to deal with that fear of failure and giving himself the best chance to go out there and do his best and score runs.
Oh, that's interesting. Down the leg side, Ireland they're surely not bowling for the strangle, but Foxcroft did chase it. It caught nothing and threw to Tucker, who's obviously gone back now to a standard wicket-keeping length. And we're going to now Ireland reduced now to their 3 debutant seamers. This real setback, the lack of market there. So McCarthy's going to have to bring a different option, a different strategy to try and winkle one of these guys out. There's a catching mid-wicket. He's got the 2 slips. You think he's going to utilise this? Maybe hit the middle of the pitch. He's running away from us now. This is a full one, tucked off the pads very nicely by Foxcroft. It's really timed it beautifully. The man on the leg side boundary comes across nicely. And the children over there were very appreciative. That's good. There's a bunch of school children over in that stand. And I think it's Doheny who patrols that boundary. He saved a couple of runs. Good bit of feeling there. He had a long way to go.
Yeah, so McCarthy probably expecting to be the 4th seamer, and the nature of the way he bowls is pretty aggressive, and he does look to rough the batsman up, try and introduce, the men out in the boundary, looking for that top-edged hook shot. It'd be interesting to see if anything changes today, as you've alluded to. Without the extra seamer, does he go back to being more of a stock bowler, trying to hit more line and length?
He's in again, McCarthy, and on the back foot, he's nudging in the offside. He'll get 1 run. They'll push for 2. No, and Blundell sends him home, I think, quite rightly. The man on the deep point boundary was quickly off the fence. Yeah, I think you'd spotted it earlier when Foxcroft, when he did look discomforted by the short ball, he took and then you think, okay, can McCarthy maybe exploit that? But he'll really have to bend his back to to force that, and that's why that little catcher. He's a short mid wicket, isn't he? That's Curtis Camphor in there, that position where he took that famous catch to get rid of one of the English players last year. Remember that T20? Was it Bethel? I think it was Bethel. Anyway, Camphor hoping for a specky as McCarthy's in, and the ball is clipped past him, past his right hand. Blundell will settle for a single. Very full ball that from big Liam McCarthy, big broad-shouldered guy.
Yes, he's so far he's been bluffing. He's got deep backward square out. He's got fine leg, but he's bowled full. That ball there, Yorker length almost. So we can't be far away from the short ball. So it'd be really interesting to see if Foxcroft is prepared to take it on this early in his innings on day 2.
Yeah, and he's on 49. So if he'd be looking for a minor milestone in Belfast here. He's driving a full ball, and the applause from his teammates will tell you that he's reached that 50. He'll go and shake the hand of his mate. He acknowledges the applause, and he'll get a generous hand from the Stormont crowd as well on debut. And he gets a really good handshake from his mate. Well batted, Dean Foxcroft. Well, Mark is... thanks for your morning stint there, Mark. We'll see you later. And I'm going to be joined by our friend from yesterday, David Townsend, the doyen of Irish cricket for so many years. And,
Good morning.
Good morning to you.
Good morning, listeners. And again, it is a good morning, isn't it? Lovely morning.
Good morning to be a Kiwi batsman so far.
Yeah, it's looked easy again today, hasn't it? I mean, you obviously don't know how easy the batting conditions are until both sides are batted, but it's a good batting trip.
May's continuing. This stage a bit low, but Foxcroft covers it up well in defence. No run.
So, moving along nicely. What do you think? Do you think they'll declare if they're in a situation to declare? I mean,
Yeah, what are we...
you would have thought coming to the ground this morning, maybe Ireland bowled back for 450, something like that.
Yeah, that would be Ireland's ideal scenario. 386 for 5. I was told by a listener yesterday we need to take the score a bit more often, which I entirely will take on board. So 386 for 5. Let's say if they wanted to get Ireland in for 45 minutes before lunch, they could be looking at 500, couldn't they? This is nudge behind square, well fielded by the point. Now that both of these batters are set, they've reassessed this morning. They both look set, and they know what they're going to be receiving. They know that Mark Adair isn't be bowling at them. So,
Yeah, going along nicely.
batted 25 just in 37 minutes, but again, they've both brought up a couple of little milestones, and they're feeling confident resuming this partnership. Ireland are really going to have to dig deep to break it. And it's in the hands of Tom Mays to do so. He's running towards us from the Dundonald end. This is back of a length and competently tucked around the corner by Foxcroft for a single. Partnership so far has realised 83. So it's a beautiful day for batting. You look up, blue skies, breath of wind, healthy first innings total.
Going along very nicely.
Ireland are taking their time to get the ball back to the bowler here. A few discussion. So Matthew Humphreys is there at cover. He's obviously the first sub fielder. Anyway, it's back with Mays now, and he's bowling a good length and a good leave, well respected by Blundell.
Yeah, Foxcroft going to his half century. He was very, very, very lucky last night with that LBW decision.
Right, it just hit outside the off stump. Oh, you think it was hitting enough of the?
It might not have. I think it was absolutely plumb. To be
Okay, right. See, I still haven't seen it. We don't have a screen here, and then a highlight. It wasn't included in the highlights package. Those are brief, sort of 7.5 minutes you can find on YouTube from yesterday. And
it was one of those, Roger, that was missing off a missing leg.
Okay. Oh dear, well, it was umpire Wharf who's now looking at this ball from Mays, which is back of length, worked into the offside for a single by Blundell. Yeah, sorry.
You don't mind the umpires being, if you like, very not givers, if you like, being absolutely sure before it's an LBW, as long as they're consistent in that.
Yeah, and it is different for them without DRS. It's a very unique experience, and then they're going to err on the, depending on their own styles, I suppose, their own personalities. If they're a cautious umpire or they're an aggressive umpire, they'll play their. You think they might like the opportunity to shoot a few more people and not be questioned, but of course they're so professional these days. We can't expect that. This is a short ball that does get up, but Foxcroft plays it comfortably out to the deep backward point boundary for one.
Whether they got a round of golf book for Saturday afternoon.
Well, exactly. That's the old-fashioned umpire. I think you touched on it yesterday. This notion of you're not entirely convinced by, and neither am I. I remember the Malahide test being the drama of out meaning out. You know that, and it's been so long since we've seen that in cricket, and no LBW citizen can you fully celebrate anymore, because even when there's ridiculous ones, if batting teams have a review up their sleeve, they'll use it, and it takes a lot of the drama out of the game, I think.
It's this constant pursuit of perfection, isn't it? I mean, the sooner people realise that you're never ever going to have a perfect world, the sooner we could get on and enjoy what we do have, which is not bad.
Yeah, quite right. We've got cricket. We've got Test cricket in Belfast.
And that's not just with cricket and football.
No, of course,
that's
yeah.
in life generally.
Well, but cricket is life, and that's why all the lessons we learn from it. I think I agree with you. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Sometimes life isn't fair. So
No.
here comes McCarthy. This is a short ball, and Foxcroft really gets on top of it. Just taps it on the head, round to the fine leg. So they're definitely expecting these bumpers from Liam McCarthy. And,
well yesterday, didn't he, McCarthy? Got that one wicket, the LBW against
that
Williamson.
was Williamson. Yeah, that was plum. The grizzly bearded Williamson these days, looking more and more sort of mountain man these days. But yeah, he sent him packing. That was plum. There's no need. No one would have reviewed that. This was short and swiveled. Blundell will get a single. Didn't quite time it. I think he was looking to go backward of square. He got one. Humphreys is there is on a sort of. He seems to be 2/3 of the way out, looking for a false top edge, perhaps when he does play that.
This is almost the
Pull
sort
shot.
of field that England were experimenting with the Ashes a few years ago.
Yes.
With fielders all out.
Yeah, well, I should explain it now. It's a 3-6 field. It really is a tailored field for a pretty obvious tactic, and McCarthy bangs it in. It's well controlled and well fielded by a short mid wicket. So that's Tector. He's at short mid wicket. You've got a mid on. Then you have a man, a sort of square, a backward square leg, and then beyond him is a long leg, then a deep square leg, and then Humphreys, who, like I say, he's not all the way out, but he's maybe 15 yards in off the rope at a mid wicket, a deep mid wicket. So, and then on the offside, you've got a mid off, quite a fine. A fly slip, almost. You would call that a fly slip.
Almost a backstop.
Almost a backstop, yeah.
Backstop.
And that must be Egan, or it's someone in a sun hat. I don't know if it's Egan. It's right the other side of the ground from us. It is Egan. And then the last man is a deep backward point. And McCarthy's in, short, and this isn't the offside. The point fielder will have to race in, but they'll settle for one. 3.92 for 5. So the New Zealanders, they know what they're going to get. McCarthy, probably 4 or 5 short ones in and over, maybe the one surprise.
But at
fully.
least we can see how they're looking to take a wicket. It might be successful, it might not. I suggest it probably won't be, but you can see the planning here.
Yeah.
Whereas last night, it did drift a little bit.
Yeah. Blundell waits now with a bad cock. He makes a bit of room and swats the tennis shot. It's the strapple, the straight pull, goes down to long on for 4. We see Harry Brook play that sort of shot a lot recently, don't we? He steps away. Because the Kiwi batters, they're not going to just let it sail over their heads. They want to score runs, so they have to find solutions to this.
Yeah.
It's going to make for an intriguing passage of play.
But it's a tactic. Whereas last night, couldn't even see them trying to put the pressure on to keep the runs down. It was just drifting. It was just a single here, a single there. Yeah. No pressure, odd bad ball, boundary.
Yeah, I think the guys spoke about it well on the end of day pod last night. Hit McCarthy's going round the wicket now to the right-hander's pull shot. He doesn't get it, but that man round the corner at square leg prevents a run. But Blundell at this stage knows Blundell was eyeing up that Newton Ards road. But that's the end of the over, and New Zealand 389 for 5. Blundell to 152.
I can't help you at the
Foxcroft
moment,
52.
Roger, because I've left my splendid binoculars in the press tent away to our left.
Oh, that's quite all right. I can squint at various scorecards, and the glare off my mobile phone. Cricinfo will keep me right. Will keep you listeners right.
Liam McCarthy obviously delighted last night that Kane Williamson was his first wicket. Not the most impressive first wicket for a seam bowler in Irish colours, an international wicket. His first game was against Essex. His third game was against South Africa, and he only played 3 matches.
You're testing me on this, are you, David?
You would know who I mean.
What? When are we talking? When was this in the last few years, or are we going back a bit?
No, it seems like the last few years, but it's actually 18, 19 years ago. Yeah, we'll come back to that.
We'll come back to that. Essex and Mays on the hip, turned round the corner for a single. Now Nathan's pointing at some tweets. Adair is at the ground. Thank you for that, Dan. He's been spotted on TNT. So hopefully not too crook. It's just a stomach issue. George Goddard informs us. Very good. Thank you, listeners, for all your extra info. And yes, I should remind you, if you want to email us, please, the irishcricketpod@gmail.com. You can also find our Twitter handles, but we'd prefer to get emails. We'll definitely have a good look at those. As back goes Blundell, picks up an easy single on the offside.
The other thing I always say in these situations is do email in, because we don't get that many emails, and you will almost certainly have your email read out.
If it's good, though.
Whereas
not any old nonsense.
National TV or something, they get about 400 emails, and it's sort of a bit hit and miss, isn't it? You think, why should I bother? We would. He's very pleased with us. Yes, and I bet all 10 got read out, didn't they?
Yeah, but that's because the quality of the Irish Cricket Podcast patrons are so good. They're so knowledgeable that they all make valid points.
There are a number of people who sit there thinking, I was going to bother, they won't read it out anyway, but we will.
Yeah, of course we will. Here comes Mays. Bit floaty, this one, and left alone easily by Foxcroft in the short sleeves, Blundell in the long. They're the guy of sort of similar build.
So come on then. Who was this?
Sorry, remind me the question.
A Dublin lad, a well-known Dublin
and
lad.
I'm to tell, and his first ever scalp was a more impressive scalp than Kane Williamson.
His first wicket against Essex was Ravi Bopara.
Okay. And
which is not a bad wicket.
No,
to have.
And then he played South Africa. His first international wicket.
His last game was against South Africa. It was a game in between.
Okay. And was this a test match? No, it was because it was 18 years ago.
Yeah, Ireland weren't playing test matches in 2000.
No, okay, sorry. I've got a lot of info. Oh, this is driven. Inside edge. No, just the one run for Foxcroft. Oh, just give me another little clue.
A would-be rock star. Or so he thought.
Right. I'm still confused. And the nationality was a South African match.
Was the third match.
So we're looking for the middle. You're not going to tell me the opposition.
Essex was his first.
Can you tell me the opposition of this middle match?
Well,
Does that give it away?
it was a very, very impressive wicket, so you can't leave
Was
it
it-
too many, can you?
All right. Was it? It wasn't
I think
Neil Doak dismissing Brian Lara. How about, was it that? No? Here comes Mays, left alone, stayed low, left alone.
I would argue it was more impressive than that. Brian Lowry, batted 5 times against Ireland. He'd never returned to the pavilion with a double-figure score.
Yeah, all right. That's
4 single-figure scores and a century.
right. Very good. Oh, I'm a bit stumped, David.
He was almost becoming a bunny for the Ireland Offspring.
He was a bunny, yeah.
Doak got him.
Doak, yeah.
I think Carl McCullough had him, somebody else.
18 years ago. I will give you a valid guess eventually. Here comes Mays. Stays a bit low. They can't get a run. Mays is keeping things tight at least. He's just bowling line and length, and he's got through a
2007.
tight over. Okay.
Who would?
Well, are we at the World
anybody
Cup?
in world cricket who would be more impressive than Brian Lara?
Ricky Ponting, Abraham Benjamin de Villiers. No.
Well, those two arguably. I don't think de Villiers would be a better batsman than Lara, but Ricky Ponting probably would be.
Okay. SR Tendulkar.
Yes.
And who was the
Sachin
bowler?
Tendulkar.
All right. And I don't know the bowler. Who was the bowler?
Roger Whelan.
Thank you. Yes,
Roger Whelan. Yeah, only
Sure.
played those 3 games.
I should know my fellow Irish Roger, for goodness sake. You've exposed me there, but I enjoyed the game. And I'm sure I have read it in your book, David Townsend's book. Go and get it. It's called Do They Play Cricket in Ireland?
Do they play cricket?
And did you find an answer by the time you'd written that book? Here's McCarthy round the wicket. Foxcroft's on the swivel pull, 1 run down to fine leg.
I'm not entirely sure that story's in there, but I don't think Roger Whelan quite made the cut because a lot of very interesting cricket going on in 2007, as you know.
There was, of course. And that ripple around the ground will tell you that New Zealand brought up their 400 for 5. And it's been relatively plain sailing this morning. That's 39 they've added. Foxcroft and Blundell currently just humming along. McCarthy's round the wicket to Blundell. He's pulling again, just round the corner. Fine leg, seeing a bit of action. 1 run.
Of course, the New Zealanders who are playing England shortly, Test match as well, they won't mind a little bit of peppering with short deliveries here, just as a warm up, if you like, for that.
For sure, yeah, that's right. England
I'm sure they'll get a few around their ears from the England bowlers.
Yeah, we'll certainly get into talking about that series at a good point as McCarthy continues this approach. Right, it's a huge balloony one. It's a double wide almost. It was wide and high and horrible. Easily signalled by Tucker. Yeah, any thoughts on what England's attack might be going into?
They change it around so much, don't they? It's another thing that's sort of crept into the game in the last
You don't think...
10 years. You used to know what the England team was, didn't you?
McCarthy. Well, this has been middled. You heard a good... Well, sorry, it was clothed. It sounded like a big, thick noise, but it was that sort of heavy, middling sound of the splice. And no run.
Even not that long ago, obviously when Anderson and Broad were both in harness, you knew that those two would be playing and who would necessarily be the third seamer, but now it's they have to go and do their tests to look at their red zones and goodness knows what else.
You'd imagine Robinson, if they brought him back in, he will take that no ball. Yeah, he's gone well at Lords before. Foxcroft makes a bit of room, carves this into the offside. He'll get a single. And I don't imagine Sonny Baker, they could do. They could set him free in this at Lords, but it would be a bit rogue. And there's another handshake out in the middle because it's a 100 partnership between these two. 403 for 5. They came together in the 78th over and they've been together for another 27 of them. And they're enjoying each other's company. McCarthy's gone back over the wicket now. Blundell makes room and crashes this. It's the straight pull again. The man's having to come all the way around. It's Humphreys. Reaches it at long on, having started at deep mid-wicket, and they get 2. Yeah, Blundell's... He's got a method, hasn't he? Stepping away and
Well, he must be
targeting that onside.
He must be seeing it as big as a football, as the old saying used to go.
Yeah.
But no, the England attack, you used to know those your bowlers, do they play 2 spinners or do they play 1 spinner, or do they indeed at times they play no spinners?
Mm-hmm. McCarthy staying over the wicket, making room. There's the flat batted tennis shot. He keeps it down straight to Humphreys this time, who sends it in immediately. They just get 1. I think I maybe just bounced a couple of times. He cracked the forehand smash.
Really middle that.
Yeah.
That was in Humphreys' hands out there in sort of probably 0.7 of a second or something. That was a cracking blow.
McCarthy takes his cap and he's going to have a word from his skipper's running down to him here. Oh, sorry, it mightn't be a skipper, but it's a teammate. Anyway, McCarthy's tried this for 3 or 4 overs now. Mays has been hoiked out of the attack at the other end, and we can see a diminutive Donnamana man scratching his hand in the soil, which suggests spin is into the equation.
Yeah.
Now, what field do you want to set? What field do you want to see McBride have here?
I think it'll be just the 1 slip, won't it? And
he's sending out a long on, a deep mid-wicket, he's got one on the sweep here in front of us. Deep man on the sweep.
if you're going to have this field with the 3 men out on the onside and 2 saving the single or attempting to save the single, why have the slip? Well, why not have a leg slip instead?
This is back of a leg carved. It's uppish slightly, but it's spinning away from the cover. Humphreys again goes to his natural left side. They get 1. I mean, what Blundell really tormented McBride with the reverse sweep yesterday. And that slip, maybe Balbirnie will go slightly wider at slip to cover that. We've got Foxcroft to deal with now. He's just scratching his guard. The field stays the same.
So for the slip to come into play, the ball's really got to be outside off stump, spinning in.
He plays a nice little loop, the ramp. He gets a single. It went quite square for a ramp shot, and the man at square leg was interested for a bit. He got there on the sort of second bounce, but immediately Foxcroft showing some...
Again, he wouldn't have been attempting that had there been a leg slip.
Of course. Yeah, I know there's plenty of traditionalists out there love to see a leg slip. I would certainly hope that Ireland have it in their thoughts. This one's tucked around the corner. The man at square leg will field it. No run. One man in the sweater there. There's another hot day, but there's a couple of sleevelesses on the Ireland boys. Balbirnie and Camphor, I think. McBride, he's in a long sleeves shirt, and Blundell just covers up in defence.
He's just got so much time at the moment, doesn't he, Blundell? Obviously, you always have time against a slow bowler, but he just seems to have that extra half a second or so.
A couple of steps and a hop, and back goes Blundell, carving into the offside. He'll settle for 1. 409 for 5. These two really immediately starting to milk McBride. Nothing huge has been essayed just yet. As the bells of St Mollywood's Church chime in the background. This one stays a bit low, and defence from Foxcroft, the end of the over. 409 for 5. Yeah, just on the other side of the Newton Ayres Road, we have a nice big Church of Ireland church, and there's hotels. If you don't know, we're in the Parliament building complex, at Stormont here. You might be familiar with the big neoclassical Parliament buildings at the top of a hill. It's sort of a bit like the White House.
Yeah, very, very impressive, imposing building.
It is, yeah. It's that huge
Stormont
long
Castle.
drive sweeps up to. You can't. I don't
And
think
then
that.
there's that ugly thing over
Yeah.
there that really needs to be sort of
Well, that's what.
1960s.
Yeah, it's like a bit of Romania in the background as McCarthy continues. And he's got this one as Blundell. He's stepping away and he's absolutely moosed it over mid-on. The hands go up from
that
Rod
all the
Tucker.
way?
Yeah, it did. It was flat. Ali McCalmont in front of me immediately saw the trajectory and knew it was going to sail over a vacant mid-on. And that's the shot he's been looking for a few overs now, Blundell.
You've got to have a good bat to play a shot like that.
Well, they can though these days. You know, you see them. You see the likes of Brooke and just
Cracking blow. But then again, there's no.
it's a big hit.
He's got that sort of fielder at cow corner. He's not going to get around to those.
No, you need someone straight. That's why he's hitting him straight. He makes room, and this time McCarthy threw in the Yorker, which he's dug out. He's dug it out of the middle of the bat because it's come through the extra cover boundary for 4 more. Blundell really motoring now. Yeah, I think.
Yeah, it's a strange field, the leg side field, because you've got 3 in sort of on the one and then 3 out, but no. Well, I say no long on, but long on is now going out. So
Yeah,
I think that makes sense.
that's Balbirnie himself. So it's always worrying when your skipper is on the boundary. It's very hard to captain a team from a boundary, but Ireland are reduced to that again. This was defeating him at least. There was possibly a slower ball. Again, Blundell was making room, but he just let it dribble through to the keeper. He slightly outfoxed by McCarthy.
Come back to my original question about half an hour ago, Roger. Do we think New Zealand will declare?
Well, I think they will if they keep going like this. That probably. I think Mark spoke about it with this extra morning session. You know, you could go to say 12:50, and by that stage, you might have 500 on the board, and that in a 4-day game, that's a declarable total. I would have thought. A mistimed pull from Blundell. At least he's not nailing everything, but they're looking to get on with it every ball. So that suggests declaration. But coming afterwards is Nathan Smith. He can get on with it, and then Sears, Tickner, and O'Rourke. Oh, not O'Rourke. Who am I missing? If I look down, Zach Folks, he can bat. So there'll be all attack from now on. He's stepping away and he's got this one, but it's along the ground. Matthew Humphreys at that deep mid wicket does the fielding. Yeah, is that what would you concur with that? 500. We get to 500 first, and then
Get 500 what by 1 o'clock, and then give them 20 minutes. with
I think
bowlers?
they'll be eyeing up 500 by. Yeah.
Or, well,
before
whatever
1
they've
o'clock,
got,
yeah.
whatever do it by time, whatever
Yeah,
they've got
and
by
then
1
a
o'clock.
20-minute burst.
Half an hour burst, perhaps.
Yeah.
Depends how well they go.
Well, McCarthy will be desperate to try and stem that. He gets the top-handed forehand again. This one's very straight. Balbirnie had come in off the rope, and he might regret that because it's gone past him. Humphreys has come a long way round, but it's beaten both of them. As Tucker signals 4, and that's a pretty chastening over for the McCarthy tactic. I suspect that might be the end of it.
It takes a fair bit of effort to dig those deliveries in,
Yeah.
as he has been doing consistently for over time.
Yeah. So with New Zealand 420 for 5, I think thoughts might start turning to plans C and D. Well, the plan B2, I suppose, was the introduction of McBride. He'll wheel away, you'd imagine. And various inventive fields will just try and, if they can't take a wicket, at least keep them under 6, 7 and over.
Yeah, but he's perfectly capable of bowling one side of the wicket, Andy McBride. So
Yeah, he'll relish this challenge. Yeah,
and yet he's got a 4-5 field. It's
yeah. This is giving width for Blundell, who carves this away, and there's the huge gap there. Oh, sorry, there's a man coming round. My bad. Our little blind spot is the man at his very backward deep point. And there's 2 more to Blundell. He goes to 177. He's long gone past his test best. And he gets a slower one from McBride, and he respects it, just taps it back to him. I was thinking that will McBride will he have the...
no nonsense, isn't it? Andy
Toss it
McBride
up.
just gets on with his job.
Yeah. Turns on a nice sideways action, and again, this one's respected, just tapped up to mid-off. Yeah, he has a nice pivot in his action. McBride, just 1, 2, 3, 4 steps in and a hop. Here comes the reverse, and he's nailed this one, but there's a man set out for it. So they trot a single. He plays that reverse. I think he middled every single time he played that reverse sweep, but there were 5 or 6 of them yesterday.
Very, very wristy the way he plays. I mean, you do have to use your wrists to play that shot, but he's got a real flourish about it.
Foxcroft now. He just defends. Tim Abraham has moved in beside me. Thanks. Good to see you again, Tim. I imagine we'll be handing you a mic at the end of this over. David, you can think up your next poser for me in the afternoon. Try and expose my lack of... Here comes, it's defended by Foxcroft. There's no run, and that is the end of over. Thank you. After a word from David Townsend, you'll hear Tim Abraham.
Yeah, it's. I think it's got to that situation, hasn't it, where the only posers are: will Ireland take another wicket in this innings, and at what point will New Zealand declare?
Thanks, David. So 4:27 for 5. Tim will slip in beside me for an over or 2. Good morning. Good afternoon, Tim Abraham.
It's just about afternoon. Good morning, Roger. How are you?
Pretty well, thanks. Yeah, pretty well. Well rested. This gorgeous sunshine. There's a nice hum around. I'm appreciating the way these New Zealanders are going about it. As an Irishman, of course, I'd have liked to have seen a breakthrough.
Yeah, the whisper in the press box is that we might see a declaration after 90 minutes this morning. So that'll probably leave us another half an hour or so, and give New Zealand an hour before lunch to have a bowl at Ireland. Yeah. So we'll see if those kind of whispers come to fruition.
Yeah, I think 500 is plenty. Maybe even 480, 490 would be enough. There's a change now, and it's the young Ruben Wilson running away from us with the keeper up, and worked in the onside. Humphreys prevents a run. And this is a chart now. Ruben Wilson was this season to his 5th spell, I think, on debut. He's gone to places he's never been before in his career.
Well, certainly that's where the lack of red ball cricket that he will have played. He's probably having to draw upon reserves that he's unfamiliar with, and having pains in the body even at 19 that he maybe didn't realise that were there.
Yeah. This is his 22nd over. He has none for 63. He's in now, and up on his tippy toes, Blundell works him off his hip, set off thinking for 2, think he might get 2, but settles for 1. The second substitute fielder, Jake Egan, out wearing and I like to see that. If you haven't been capped, you come onto the field in a white brimmer. Sometimes you see sort of fabricated, caps, but just you're not capped, so you wear a hat. And Egan comes on, and that's why he's very easy for us to spot. He's very far away from us, but he's doing his bit down at fine leg as Wilson's in. Onto the pads again, very straight attack this, and fielded by Humphreys, no run.
Yeah, it's great that in cricket we have these protocols and this etiquette surrounding whether it's jumpers or whether it's caps, subfielders. I think it's one of the great parts of the game. You know, we all love cricket clothing, and it's great that it's something that still carries resonance in some way.
Yeah, I remember Mike Atherton being horrified that Australia sent on a substitute fielder. Here comes this straight attack from Wilson again, mid wickets in action, no run. And of course he wasn't wearing a baggy green. They wouldn't have, because he hadn't been awarded one. But he was wearing some sort of replica cap. But just don't wear a cap. Just wear a hat. You haven't earned a cap. Anyway,
I'm in complete agreement, Roger. I'm in complete agreement that you.
I think most teams haven't seen it for a while. Ruben Wilson. We might want to talk about his untucked shirt if we're talking about clothing. He's bowling very straight, very disciplined start to this over, and defending no run. How do you feel about a bowler with an untucked shirt?
Well, he's 19, so I'm willing to forgive it. You might have to have a word with his mum and see what she's saying about it, because she'll be the one telling him to tuck it in. But the island whites are a slightly brighter white than the New Zealand whites, which are slightly more cream coloured. Which, television spectacle. We saw this quite a little bit with England and Australia. England would have the whiter whites, and Australia would have the kind of more cream whites.
Mm-hmm. 17 on his back. Wilson runs away from this on the leg side, and they will get a run this time out to deep square.
One interesting stat I did see yesterday, actually, Roger, was in this game, Kane Williamson and Tom Latham actually played their 12th different test ground in terms of countries.
Right.
So they actually broke the record. I think they've been stranded on 11 for quite some time, and I think there's quite a few other players, Shane Warne amongst others, who played in 11 test match cricket in 11 different countries, and now Tom Latham and Kane Williamson have joined have pulled clear with 12.
12.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
That was I think it's just one of these stats that probably escaped us during the game yesterday with so much going on. But I saw a reference to it. Online last night.
Okay, that's interesting. McBride will continue from the Dundonald end, back of a length, nudge round the corner. They'll set off quickly. They'll turn this into 2 easily enough. Foxcroft 66, 431 for 5.
So I'll reel off the countries. So they've played in New Zealand, Australia, England, India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, South Africa, West Indies, Zimbabwe, UAE. Obviously, they hosted Pakistan tests and Ireland.
That's where I was wondering. I was wondering, will UAE and Pakistan be counted as the double? This one's tossed up and defended. I mean, the real question is, how many of the West Indian countries have they played in? That for a true, yes, you play. Because if you're giving Pakistan 2 home venues as 2 separate countries, then do you not have to do that for West Indies?
Well, I think
no
as part of the criteria, that it was West Indies was obviously counted as one country in this, but
which is why I'm being a nerd about it.
The deep dive on the question that you've asked, which is a very good one, is who has indeed played in the most countries. So maybe there's somebody out there who wants to go through all that and run the stats engines and find out.
There's a challenge. McBride defended by Foxcroft, no run. And then, of course, it begs the question, if you play in Dublin and you play in Belfast, we're in the shadows of Stormont. It's a legitimate question. But if anyone wants that, I would be interested to see that number of... I mean, how many countries have the West Indies used? What do we think? I mean, it must be at least 10, right?
Well, you're the one born in Jamaica here, Roger, as you told me last night over a pint. So you've probably got a better handle on that than I have.
That's something I will have to look into. McBride taking his time. He's ready to go again now. He trots in, back of a length, turned round the corner. Ireland have kept this pretty tight. There's no run to square leg there. They've bottled these 2 up somewhat recently. The overall run rate is below 4. But there's just been no wicket this morning. I imagine there'll be a drinks break at the end of this over. Clock has ticked up to 12:14. No one's in any rush. McBride to Foxcroft. It's defended. It's leisurely picked up slowly. And sure enough, That's the end of the over. The umpires direct the watermen on. I'll use this opportunity to take my leave. If you wouldn't mind filling for a little bit, Tim, and I will see you later on, and I'll go and get Nathan.
Yeah, that's absolutely no problems at all, Roger. So, yeah, I've just looked up the places, the 10 different countries and territories in the Caribbean where West Indies have played a home test match. And we have Barbados, Trinidad and Tobago, Jamaica, Guyana, Antigua and Barbuda, St. Lucia, Dominica, Grenada, St. Kitts and Nevis, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So, I suppose the next question is who has played in all of them and more test venues as well?
You might. I'm not Nathan. Nathan's involved in some very high level chats. He's got so many hats that he wears so we'll afford him an extra off the record conversation there, and he'll hopefully come onto the mic and divulge what he's been sourcing. You were telling me last night, Tim. We did have it. We enjoyed 3 lovely pints last night together. And you were telling me about you and Nathan describe yourselves as news hounds in terms of your fearless journalism. So it's good to have you in cahoots, both seeking stories, hopefully in TAN, there's not too much competition.
Healthy competition.
Healthy competition.
Healthy
That's
competition, Roger, I'd describe it as. But yeah, we're both, searching for similar angles and similar things. Nathan obviously has a strong Irish hat on when he's examining things. I perhaps look at things slightly different in terms of looking at Ireland's place in the kind of global perspective from an ICC angle, I suppose. So that's probably where our remits and our briefs differ slightly, but it's often about the exchange of information between journalists, and one bit of information can help unlock another bit of information. So that's kind of the way it goes.
That's interesting. I know. So when you're not, just for the listeners, when you're not on the mic with us today, you're trawling around in the press tent and working on stories and working on on angles and just getting a flavour of where Ireland are at the moment.
Pretty much. I was fortunate enough to have a sit-down chat yesterday with Sarah Keane, who's the new chief executive of Cricket Ireland. She's 2 months into her job. Obviously, she'll have the ICC conference coming up in Edinburgh in July. So I think she's still finding her feet a little bit, but somebody who was very much on the kind of front foot, can see some of the the great potential there is in Ireland for cricket. So that was my kind of main reason for being here, was to have that kind of sit down chat with her. So I'll kind of go away and write up some bits and pieces from that. Heard a little bit about the kind of Abbottstown and where that's kind of progressing. So I'll give you a little exclusive here, Roger. It's on target. They're hoping it's going to open
excellent.
On time. But I think it may well be that certain elements of that are finished in time for the World Cup, and certain elements might kind of come down the track. So
yeah, good stuff. If you want to, I don't know. Forgive me if you touched on any of this yesterday, but do you want to plug any of your books while you're on here? Why don't you point the listeners in the direction of your
I can plug
published materials?
I will plug one book, Roger. That is, you've given me the opportunity. As a BBC man, I'm so used to not being able to plug stuff. So on this occasion, I will plug. So I wrote a book on cricket. Co-authored a book on cricket in Latin America. I travelled all around Latin America with my fellow author James Coyne, researching in dusty archives in Bolivia and all sorts of other places. So if kind of Latin American, the growth of the game in a continent that had never been really much reporting on is your thing, then do give it a look up. The title is Evita Burned Down Our Pavilion, a cricket odyssey round Latin America.
Yeah. That's fascinating stuff. I will certainly be seeking out a copy of that one. And you were telling me some great stories last night. I hope your daughter then goes on to play for Brazil. I know that's an ambition of yours.
Yeah, my daughter qualifies ridiculously for 5 national teams. So Brazil, Ecuador, Germany, United States, and England. So Ecuador don't have a team currently, but the rest she's eligible for. So we'll see how that pans out. Hopefully I can get her into cricket as starters. She's only 5 at the moment.
Yeah.
So.
Good stuff. Well, with the players back out there set to resume, I will hand you back to Nathan Johns.
G'day everyone. I heard you talking about Brazil, Tim, and I thought, God, don't tell me Tim's already flogging his book that he wrote about Brazil. I'm not sure. Have I accidentally flogged it for you? Wilson continues. It's bowled into the leg side by Blundell. Well, Wilson continues. That's a change of bowling, isn't it? I think. But
Wilson was still on.
sorry, I'm too busy chatting away next door, not paying attention to the cricket. Wilson is not a change of bowling after drinks, and he's pulled over wide mid-on by Blundell for 2. 435, I think, for 5 now. Sorry, I just assumed because you were talking about Brazil, you were talking about the fact that you wrote a book about cricket in Brazil.
Well, I was cricketing in Latin America, but I should point out, Nathan, that Roger invited me to talk about it. I didn't bring it up in an impromptu manner to try and flog more books.
What's the point of going on the radio if you can't flog your wares, as they say? Good afternoon. Yeah, it is afternoon. Gone 12 o'clock now. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to Stormont. You're just joining us. Wilson continues. That's guided away off the back foot by Blundell. Nicely off the face of the bat. Good bit of work from Carmichael out on the boundary on the offside. Keeps him to 1.
Just got a packet of... they're not Jammy Dodgers, they're Jam Creams. Jammy Dodgers don't have the cream element, where these ones have got...
These are top tier.
Top tier biscuits, are they?
Yeah,
I prefer the ones without the cream, so I'm a little bit more...
No, cream's a big thing in Northern Ireland.
Right,
yeah, they
okay.
like... David Townsend was moaning about how much people eat in this part of the world, but we up here, especially... definitely more so than Dublin. They enjoy a bit of cream on their buns, that type of thing. Wilson continues. Tucker is standing up to the stumps, and he's done well to stop that one down the leg side. It's hit him somewhere in the body, but he seems to be okay. Foxcroft is frustrated. He missed out on some free runs down the leg side.
Yeah, the one I noticed was I had the full breakfast, not this morning but yesterday. And the soda bread with the breakfast is a bit of a game changer. I will be honest. I'll be seeking that out when I
genuinely think soda bread is one of the best things to come out of this island since I don't know since what? Since Kevin O'Brien, who sat right next to us. That's the first thing that came to mind. We should try to get Kev on. Actually, I'm not sure. He's busy with TV this week, so I'm not sure if he can cross paths with the other broadcasts. That was a leg by down the leg side, I think. Tucker using his body once again, but unable, standing up to the stumps to prevent another run.
So yeah, I was just saying before there was whispers in the press box so that the declaration might come after 90 minutes of the morning session. So we've got about another 10 minutes to go.
Whispers or
listen,
opinions?
I think it was a whisper. It was a whisper from somebody in the New Zealand media.
There's no New Zealand media here.
Well, New Zealand, somebody working on behalf of New Zealand, covering the news, Katie Martin.
Right, are you dobbing in the New Zealand staff? God, it's come off almost the back of the bat of Blundell, and it's raced away down to... Oh, no, he's missed it completely. That's why it looked funny, because it rebounded off the glove of Tucker, who, again, as a reminder, is standing up to Wilson. So it's a bye, 1 run added to the total. Yeah, I genuinely thought they just looked to bat long, get 600, bat to maybe about halfway through the afternoon session, and then see if they could bowl Ireland out at least once before the end of the day. But I guess with close to 450 on the board, you could still try and bowl Ireland out and make them bat again at some stage today, and all of a sudden then we're looking at an early finish on Friday. There is rain about on Saturday, aerial from Foxcroft, but Carmichael is out at deep point. He's quick across the ground, and that's a good bit of fielding out there to keep them to 1. End of the over. The score is 437 for 5. Yeah, maybe. I mean, if that's the whisper, then probably looking at around the 450 mark would be the target that they've set. One would suspect. This is all speculation, of course.
Yeah, all speculation. I mean, I would imagine what will happen is if there is a bit of rain forecast for Saturday, there might be a bit of twitchiness, and we could end up with, maybe on day 3, it could be Ireland dramatically batting out to save the game to earn a draw late on day 3. What effectively could be a draw if Saturday does indeed look like a washout. I haven't examined the forecast in too much detail, so I'm we're 2 days out from there, so it may well change. But whether that's just kind of preying on their minds or in the back of their minds.
Brian continues. Down the track comes Foxcroft. Has he picked out long on? No, he's cleared him. That's a handsome stroke down the ground for a maximum. What a shot that was. Just effortless. He did dance down the ground, so plenty of energy on the ball, but just the way he whipped his hands through that delivery from McBride. Yeah, well, if this is the aggressive ploy, maybe you're right, Tim. There might be a declaration afoot.
Yeah, magnificent shot from Foxcroft there.
oohs and ahs as that one rebounds somewhat unconvincingly into the leg side. I think he tried to sweep it, didn't he?
Yeah, just tried to sweep that, and it kind of almost came off the bottom edge. So there's a little bit of enthusiasm, but I don't think it was. I think it was a bit misfounded. I don't know who was appealing, whether they were thinking it struck a bit of pad first, but it's definitely nothing going there.
Yeah, the energy has definitely changed out there. There's a bit more urgency, and the Irish fielders are a bit more keen to try and buy a wicket, even with false appeals. That's a lovely shot from Foxcroft down the ground to the pitch again, and after depositing one over long on, he just opens the arms there to go through extra cover, well, wide mid-off maybe for 4.
Yeah, you wonder now, Foxcroft up to 77, is it? So he'll be, he might have one eye on a Test century here on debut. So perhaps that's maybe after they might let him get there, and then perhaps the decoration potentially could come after that. I mean, as I said, it's a bit of rumours at this stage.
Well, he's certainly batting like a man who fancies scoring as quickly as possible. He'll look to come back for a second here. He's going to take on the arm of Wilson, and it's a good bit of running there. Wilson just set himself before the throw at fine leg, and that gave Foxcroft enough time to come through for a second. So he's now on 79, 21 runs shy of a Test century on debut in his first Test match innings. I think 449 for 5, so they're getting towards that 450 mark, if that is the target for a declaration. Quick and flat from McBride, defended into the leg side, no run.
Yeah, he's a quite compact little player, isn't he, Foxcroft? He's kind of square shaped and keeps everything, gets himself in line very well, and looks very organised as a player.
McBride in, down the track comes Foxcroft, and has he picked the gap at mid-off again? No, this time he hasn't, but the man is able to get around and keep it to just a single. Who's that down there? Is that Liam McCarthy? Yeah, it was McCarthy. End of the over. I think that was the 450 to come up. It was. No ripple of applause this time. Don't think the crowd have realised that that's the 450. They've had enough team 50s today over the course of the last 2 days of this Kiwi outfit. Still no sign of Mark Adair on the ground. He is at the ground, but he's not on the field as things stand. Matthew Humphreys is on as 12th man. Word is that Adair was sick overnight. We await further updates, I'm sure, over the course of the day. Cricket Ireland will give us some official word.
Yeah, the TV pictures earlier showed him kind of in the back of the marquee, looking with a sun hat on, not looking particularly with the right colour in the face, if that's the right way of describing it. So it's we're not quite sure whether it's something he's eaten or something else.
Mark Ellison, who's part of our commentary team, is just next to us in the marquee there. He's actually talking to Mark's brother, Ross, who's popped over to say hello. So I wonder if there's some intel being shared there. We'll certainly ask Ellie when he comes back on. I think he'll be here for the last half an hour or so of the session. Down the track comes Foxcroft. He carves Wilson behind point. They'll pick up another 2 with the man on the offside boundary patrolling. That takes Foxcroft to 82. I think, it does look like Blundell's just happy for him to hog a bit of strike here. This definitely screams give the bloke the opportunity to get to a Test match 100 and see where they go.
Yeah, he's moved up to 82 now, so it's within the distance, and he's definitely, there's that bit more intent in the past few overs. So you do wonder if something was said at drinks, now if you're going to take this chance, kind of get on with it.
Wilson in again. That's down the ground. Does it clear mid-off? Yes, it does. Didn't get all of it, did Foxcroft, dancing down the track, but he just about clears Tom Mays by 2 or 3 feet and brings him 4. And that is a 150-run partnership up as well.
Yeah, not quite off the meat of the bat, that one. Mays was interested for a moment there. He motioned as if he was going to kind of jump or make some sort of efforts, but he picked up the trajectory of the ball and realised it was quite a way over his head.
I have to be somewhat careful with this email because it's come in with a request to be kept anonymous, but there's lots of details in here which may or may not identify our emailer. We'll chat through it in a moment or so. We'll see if Foxcroft still goes on the hunt. Mid-off has gone back after that boundary through that area, flicked off the pad, half stopped by Tector mid-wicket. They will come through for 1. So there's a bit of local knowledge because Zach Folkes' brother, as far as I'm aware, is in Ireland. He's playing club cricket in Ireland. Zach Folkes is down to bat at number 9 for the Black Caps. And apparently his brother, Zach's brother, has been messaging some of people in his Irish cricket fraternity saying that the Black Caps have kept their best batter till number 9 in Zach Folks. Do we think that he is actually their best player, or if that's just some familial love being or bias on display? As Blundell charges, hits out to the leg side, it's half a chance and it's dropped. It's Matthew Humphreys out at mid-wicket. He was about 10 yards in off the fence. It's gone for 4. Backtracking over his right shoulder, he stuck up a despairing hand. He got to it, but his attempt at taking a one-handed specky over his head falls to the ground and it trickles into the fence to give Blundell another boundary. New Zealand now moving on to 461 for 5.
Yeah, gasps from the crowd there. They thought that was a chance, and it probably was half a chance. Just got a hand to it, but couldn't. His momentum perhaps just didn't allow him just to cling on to it.
Wilson continues. Does Blundell charge again? He does come down the track into the leg side. This should be another chance for Humphreys. Backpedaling, this time he takes it. One ball after dropping Tom Blundell at deep mid-wicket. The subfielder, Matthew Humphreys, this time makes amends. And one eye here on the Black Caps. Is this the end of the innings? Have they made a declaration with Blundell departing? They have not. Foxcroft sold us down the river there. He ran over to shake Blundell's hand as he went off. That looked like he might have actually been going off with him in the sign of a declaration, but he was just going over to shake his partner's hand. It's the end of a sensational innings from the Kiwi wicketkeeper. Stormont rises to applaud his effort. He takes the acclaim of the crowd, acknowledges his teammates. 186 off 292 deliveries for Blundell, 22 fours, 3 sixes. He falls just short of a test match double 100, but it certainly looks like the Black Caps are going to stay out there and try and get Dean Foxcroft, unbeaten on 87, through to his debut 100.
Yeah, great knock by Blundell there. He's until he started really going after it at the end there, I don't think there was many. Didn't offer many chances in that innings really. He'll be very happy to have spent some time in the crease before facing England.
I should say, amidst all the chaos, a first test wicket for Ruben Wilson. Probably not how he drew it up. A bloke on 180 dancing down the track and skying one out to deep mid-wicket. I suspect, when he went to sleep on Tuesday evening dreaming of bowling first, he probably thought he'd nip one back through the gate or similar. But in the book, it just reads as caught Humphreys, bowled Wilson, his first test scalp, and it is Tom Blundell.
You always remember your first time, Nathan, no matter how disappointing it is.
You're speaking from experience there, Tim. Wilson continues. The new man into the crease, I think it's Nathan Smith, and he's let that one go through. It is indeed Nathan Smith, a man who spent plenty of time in Europe, had a few stints as an overseas player with Surrey in the county championship. End of the over, so just one delivery there for Smith to negotiate. He's unbeaten, having faced one delivery for no run. Foxcroft down the other end, 87 of 113 balls faced. Wilson's figures are now 1 for 80, having taken his first test match wicket. He's bowled 24 overs, joint most of the Irish attack alongside Liam McCarthy. New Zealand 461 for 6. They passed 450 if that was a tentative target for their declaration. We thought they might have declared when Blundell hauled out there, but they're staying out for now, probably for Mr. Foxcroft's benefit as he approaches 3 figures.
Yeah, I think Ruben Wilson's probably bowled a little bit better than his figures suggest.
He's going about 3 and over. It's not the worst.
Yeah, in terms of the wickets, I mean, he's beaten the bat a few times. He beat the bat a few times yesterday, and he's diligently stuck at his task.
Right, could be some fireworks here. McBride to Foxcroft, who dances down. McBride just fires it into the pitch. Saw him coming, turned around the corner to short fine. No run. A good little battle this. McBride, he can struggle a little bit when batters come after him. Like he's not in the Irish T20 team anymore, for instance, partly for that reason. Foxcroft is certainly going to take him on here. It's quick flats, and Foxcroft is suggesting it might have drifted across him a little bit. Not a lot of turn and offer. He defends back to the bowler.
Yeah, a flatter trajectory from McBride means that Foxcroft perhaps is not getting those chances to dance down the wicket quite as much. He's just trying to keep him in his crease here.
Andrew Balbirnie has motioned that he needs to come off, presumably at the end of the over. He's already spent time off today. Not quite sure if it's a case of repeated comfort breaks or if there's something else going on. The last thing Ireland need is another injury, particularly when it looks like they'll be batting quite soon. Half a chance, miss-stumping. Lorcan Tucker taking one down the leg side. Foxcroft danced down the track. McBride saw him coming, fired it down leg. Good piece of bowling, but Tucker juggled down leg, and it gave Foxcroft a chance to come back and a life on 87.
Yeah, that flatter trajectory again from McBride as you know, Foxcroft, as it were. He's not very good. He still decided to dance down even though the deliveries were flatter. So it was smart bowling.
McBride in again, a little bit slower but still quite short. Foxcroft just turns that into the leg side, takes a single. He moves to 88. McBride has survived the damage that Foxcroft previously caused in the last over. For now, at least, we'll see if Nathan Smith, the new man to the crease, decides to take him on.
It's funny how team mentality can sometimes change the way a batter approaches his game. You know, Foxcroft there probably would have looked in ordinary circumstances looked to work those first couple of deliveries around, but because the mindset of the team is to try and get on with it, he's looking for the big shot.
Nathan Smith on strike, just faced one delivery so far, yet to get off the mark. McBride comes into his delivery stride, quick, flat, into the pitch, and Smith is off the mark with a turn off the hip through mid-wicket. Tector does the fielding. Matthew Broadbent has been in touch. Hi guys, Englishman listening in from Scotland and loving the coverage. Mark Adair sounded brilliant yesterday, but I'm rooting for Ruben Wilson to get his first wicket today. Well, Matthew, when did you send that email? 44 minutes ago. I read it too late because your wish has been granted. Ruben Wilson just removing Tom Blundell in the previous over with a bit of a hike into the leg side. Matthew Humphreys making amends for his drop the previous delivery by taking one running back. Humphreys, of course, is on for Adair, who has not taken the field yet today. He is sick, is the word we are hearing. Foxcroft takes a single off the hip into the leg side. He keeps the strike. He has moved on to 89. End of the over, 463 for 6.
We still didn't get to discuss our anonymous emailer, and I think the wicket just fell just as we were discussing.
Well, according to our anonymous email, he's got family intel from the Folkes family that Folkes is a gun bat, apparently. I mean, he's batting 9. He's not going to be that good, is he? With apologies to the Folkes family. Mark Ellison is giving us a bit of a middling sign, but yeah, it's good. I mean, plenty of Kiwis dotted up and down the country, north and south here, playing some club cricket, and Zach's brother is over in that contingent. The anonymous emailer did say, I probably should be working instead of listening to you lads. But he said, please keep anonymous in bold. The email starts in bold. Please keep me anonymous. I should be working instead of listening to you. So I don't think he wants to be anonymous for the sake of exposing who he is to his clubmates. I think he's more worried about his employers rather than his actual his clubmates. Anyway, that was a single through the leg side. Foxcroft taking one, so he's moved to 90 now. Ruben Wilson's still bowling.
I was hoping this was more of a clandestine spy for us, but if it's someone just protecting their job, then that's absolutely fine. Keep us on quiet, or keep your finger in your ear to hide the earbuds or whatever you need to do to keep listening.
Well, with the heat, I think a lot of employers are letting people work from home, given travel can be difficult in this heat. That's driven down the ground. It's spooned over the top of mid-off. It will go for 4. It wasn't a convincing stroke from Nathan Smith, but mid-off had come up and he just about got the elevation to get over Tom Mays. Not the first time Wilson's been a little bit unlucky in that area. Twice in back-to-back overs now. Mistimed shots over mid-off have found the fence.
Yeah, it's a kind of a fairly quick outfield here at Stormont, and I think we're on ever so slight hill here towards us, so that shot over the top just had enough on it to just kind of creep over the boundary.
Wilson's figures taking a little bit of damage as New Zealand look to accelerate with one eye on a declaration. That's a bit of a rank delivery down leg. Tucker has to dive to take it, but he does so one-handed, keeping Smith on strike. Apologies, Foxcroft is on 89, not 90, so he still has a little bit of work to do to find this 100. I suppose if you're New Zealand, you're probably looking at this going, you'll give them another 20 minutes or so. They'll lose 2 overs / 10 minutes for the change of innings. So if they give him 10, 15 minutes and then they'll get another half an hour before lunch at Ireland with the ball, and they take one before lunch, they'll be absolutely ecstatic, and Ireland will be in a difficult position. So a little bit of time left for Foxcroft, if that is the calculation, but he's not on strike here. Smith is, and he plays a nice looking drive through cover, but he's hit it straight to Jake Egan, who's also on as a subfielder. No run. I think Balbirnie has gone off again. Something else we'll keep an eye on, if it's just another comfort break for the Ireland captain, or if he too is, I don't know, did they eat something dodgy in the hotel last night? Blokes running on and off the pitch all day? Well, to be fair, Adair hasn't even been on yet.
Well, no, he hasn't. So yeah, must have. I'm not sure what was on the menu last night, but perhaps a bit of something that's not quite gone as planned through the stomach.
Wilson continues. Mid-off has just dropped back for Nathan Smith. That's down leg again. Bit of a tired looking over this from Wilson. His pace looks down and his action is kind of fallen apart a little bit with deliveries sneaking down leg. It doesn't cost him anything. No, Ellie will correct me here, but wasn't there an infamous bout of food poisoning in the 1995 World Cup when New Zealand lost to South Africa in the final? I think that was the Jonah Lomu running over Mike Catt World Cup, and the infamous Nelson Mandela incident, which is what? A staff member named Susie. What gave them all food poisoning? Is that it? Right. Okay. Allegedly.
I was going to say we're not liable anyway.
Allegedly. Back in 1995. Surely the statute of limitations is gone. Pulled into the leg side, and that'll be a boundary for Nathan Smith. His second. Again, a tired-looking delivery from Wilson, dropping short. Didn't get anywhere near enough bounce to threaten him with a bumper, and it's dismissed through square leg for a boundary. And crucially, it keeps Foxcroft on strike as he looks to find his way to 100. So 473 for 6 now. Foxcroft is on strike in the next over. I think it will be McBride who continues. He's on 90, 10 away from a Test match 100, which we think will signal the end of this Kiwi innings with a declaration.
Yeah, beautifully timed hook shot from Smith. They really got hold of that right at the meat of the bat. Went quite flat, so it made that kind of lovely crisp sound off the bat as it flew to the square leg boundary.
The Ireland are taking their time here, just moving pieces around. Still no sign of Balbirnie back on the field. To be fair, this might just be a strategic opportunity for him to rest his feet before the inevitable declaration. As soon as I say that, he's come back on, so he was just off for 1 over. So if he does have any issue, it doesn't appear to be too serious. He's been off twice this morning. That's the only reason why I speculate. He's just gone back in to slip now. Lorcan Tucker's taken on the duties of setting the field, Ireland's vice-captain across formats. Devon Conway was the last New Zealander to hit 100 on debut when he hit 200 against England back in 2021. Dean Foxcroft is looking to join him. He wants a second run here as he guides it past point, but a good bit of fielding out in the deep keeps it to 1. So Foxcroft moves to 91 as he gets down the other end. Yeah, remember that innings from Conway at Lords, wasn't it?
Yep.
Sensational knock. Because we were talking about this earlier. He was pretty old making his Test match debut, wasn't he? He was in his late 20s. Oh, he was 30, was he? Right. McBride continues. Smith on strike. That's not what happened there. McBride is bowled through this action, but he's not let go of the ball. Smith.
I think Smith looked up at the last moment. I don't think he was quite ready, and he was just pulling away. I think so. I thought that's maybe a bit of that.
A bit of mind games, perhaps, from McBride. Anyway, after the full start, in he comes. Slow, tossed up. Smith just works that into the leg side for 1. He appears happy to bring Foxcroft on strike for now. Foxcroft on 91, looking to become the first New Zealander to hit a Test match 100 on debut since Devon Conway in 2021.
Yeah, smart bowling again from McBride. He's just offered a little bit more to Smith there as the new batter, hoping to tempt him into a bigger shot. I suspect now with Foxcroft on strike, he'll revert to that kind of flatter trajectory and try and keep him honest in his crease.
If he does go quick and flat, if Foxcroft has a little lapper paddle in him, the shot is on. Fine leg is up inside the ring, so to speak. Down the track he comes, can't get to the pitch, guides it to extra cover, no run. Harry Tector's loosening up. That might be a case of declaration bowling, given what we saw from Tector's off spin last night. McBride in again. Foxcroft still on 91, on the back foot, cut away through point. Work to do from the man at deep backward point, but he does come across, keeps Foxcroft to 2. He moves to 93, 477 for 6 now.
Yeah, Brian just held the pace off it a little bit there, and it kind of just sat in the pitch, and kind of got used to the cut shot from Foxcroft. He's 94, is that now? 93?
93, I believe.
93, so it's a couple of hits away.
Just looking into the leg side there, Foxcroft, as he eyes up this field. This is flatter and swept hard, but straight to the man at deep backward square. Foxcroft takes a single. He's on 94, 476 for 6.
No signs of being in the nervous 90s really from Foxcroft. He's kind of methodically gone about his his business, knocking the ball into the gaps here. I think he's figured out maybe it doesn't have to come off McBride. It doesn't have to come in big shots. Maybe he's just taking that little bit of pressure off himself to steer the ball into the gaps, work it round and get there in ones and twos, or wait for that bad ball.
Smith on strike now for New Zealand. Same field. They're not bringing men up in to save one or anything like that. Slow into the pitch, worked off the back foot out to deep square. They want two. Foxcroft is desperate for the strike at the end of the over, and a bit of a mix-up between the two men in the deep. They end up running into each other and they can't stop the second run. So good piece of running that from the Black Caps. 480 for 6 now at the end of the over. Ireland have bowled 117.
I'll just take us away from talking about the action on the field for a moment, Nathan. These sight screens, they must be the biggest sight screens I think I've ever seen.
Yeah, they're huge. I suppose it's obviously at test matches you don't want to have the two blokes manning the side screen to move it from side to side when it's left hand, right hand. By all accounts, they have cost a fortune. They're doubling up as side screens, but equally broadcast equipment. As you know, these are the perches for the cameras that normally at international grounds you'd have a big clubhouse behind the bowler's arm. There might be a balcony for the TV camera. The clubhouse at Stormont is side on. It's at deep point at the minute for the right hander from the castle end. Harry Tector is coming in to bowl, so at the risk of being slightly harsh to Tector's off spin, this might be Foxcroft's opportunity to go through to 100. He's on 94. There's 45 minutes to go till lunch. Field is spread. Plenty of men back on the fence for Tector as he comes. Tall man, right arm over, off spin. Gives it a bit of air. It's driven down the ground and it will be one. Nathan Smith took off, scampering, thinking he could come back for a second, but these two, while quick, we're never going to threaten Tom Mays there at long off for a second. 95 now, Foxcroft.
Yeah, these sight screens, just to dwell on this.
You love these
sight. Well, I'm intrigued by them. I think what it is because they're at essentially a club ground. They really just are so striking in that respect.
Oh, that spun. That's the first time across this test match we've seen one really grip, and it's caught Nathan Smith by surprise. It's really come into him and it ends up hitting him on the glove. And I say it's a good sign for New Zealand perhaps bowling last on this pitch, but they also don't have much spin in their ranks. Foxcroft himself is at the non-strikers end. Of course, bowls some part-time offies.
Ratchin as well.
Yeah, Ratchin, he can turn his arm over. Short. Oh, was that a chance? I think by the way Tector has thrown his head in his hands, that was a drop chance by Tucker behind the stumps. It's been a difficult morning for him. A few byes and leg byes have gone through. Smith was playing a cut shot well outside the off stump. I think there was a little tickle on that. Not much reaction from the fielders around the bat, but Tector thought he should have had a dismissal there.
Yeah, he just got himself in a little bit of a tangle, Tector, as he tried to get in front of the stumps to claim that, but I think it was one of those when chances have been so infrequent. It's one of those where you just couldn't quite get round to it.
Yeah, salt in the wounds for Tector as Smith goes on the sweep, and there's two men back in the deep on the leg side, but he's bisected them beautifully. He picks up another boundary to move New Zealand to 485. They are motoring along towards 500. Tector in again, right arm over the wicket, full, swept again. This time Smith hasn't picked the gap. Doheny is out there at deep square leg. That's just one. Brings Foxcroft on strike. He's on 95. One hit away from a test match century on debut.
Yeah, I wonder if he's eyeing up the square leg boundary here, or perhaps down the trap. There's a fielder at mid off, but nobody at deep mid on. So cap corner maybe.
Tector goes into the pitch. There's an LBW shout, and there could be a run out here. I think Tucker's spilled the ball. Lots going on. As Alex Wharf just signalling, we're actually going to have a third umpire check for the run out. But just to describe that, Foxcroft came dancing down the track. It hit him in the thigh, but it looked like it kept low. So Tector appealed to the LBW. That was turned down. They tried to come through for a leg by, and there was a good piece of work. I think it might have been Jake Egan in the covers. Got to the ball, underarmed it into Tucker. Smith probably should have been run out. He looked like he was going to be short of his ground, but I think Tucker spilled it. I don't think he took that cleanly. We are going to have a look upstairs. not sure how this decision gets communicated to us. I think there's probably a light system, and green means the batsman's good to go, and red means he's out. But on first viewing, Nathan Smith should be okay here because Tucker didn't take that cleanly before taking the bails. But
I can see a member of the officials stood there on the edge of the boundary, presumably to communicate the decision.
yes, the fourth umpire, Aidan Seaver. So did he have to wave at Alex Wharf and put his finger up, or kind of give it as a not out, if depending on what the feedback is. We don't have screens in front of us, unfortunately. We're not quite advanced enough here at the Irish Cricket Podcast for TVs. Okay, well, interesting. We're just getting some feedback that it might have actually been a direct hit from the throw from cover. I think it was Jake Egan. We'll confirm that in a second. So Tucker making a little bit of a meal of it might not actually come into things. So
yeah, Smith is just leaning on his bat at the moment, kind of with his hands on his hips, conversing with the umpires. Looks a little bit nervous, and he's starting to. I think he's just delivered in the bad news, and yeah, Smith's on his way.
he's out, run out. Nathan Smith has to go. I think it was the end of the over, so they were trying to take the single to keep Blundell on strike. I mean, they have kept Blundell on strike. They had the desired effect, but it has cost Nathan Smith his wicket. I don't know who Nathan Williams is, why that was in my head. But Nathan Smith goes 17 off 14 deliveries. He's been run out. We'll get confirmation of exactly who the fielder was. I think it was Jake Egan on as a substitute. 3 boundaries for Smith in his knock. Bright and breezy. 487 for 7 now. Zach Folkes is the new man in. It was Egan, yeah. Thanks, Roger. Roger's just confirmed. So Jake Egan with an underarm diving throw from the covers runs out Nathan Smith as Foxcroft comes in down the track to McBride. Start of a new over, hits that straight to mid-wicket, no run. Foxcroft is on 95. New Zealand do look like they're going to try and stay out there to get him through to his 100 / get to the 500 mark themselves. They're on 487, and then they could have a dart before lunches. That's hit down the ground. It could be a chance for long off. Just lands short. Foxcroft wants to come back for a second. He's nearly run out at the bowler's end. The throw comes in from long off. He dives back in. I don't think McBride took it cleanly or took the bails off anyway. The end result is it's single to long off, and Foxcroft is on 96.
Yeah, a bit of an apology from Foxcroft there. I think he maybe got a little bit carried away there, thinking that there was a second. Definitely wasn't there. Just dropped short of the fielder there.
Yeah, the scoreboard here at Stormont is confused. They gave that run to Zach Folkes, but he wasn't on strike. He is now facing to McBride. This will be his first delivery, slip in place. I think they're going to bring up deep point as well, just to try and keep him on strike. Downey trots in from the boundary. Otherwise, mid-off has also come up, long on, deep mid-wicket, deep backwards square. As that's nearly spooned straight back to McBride. It lands about 2 feet in front of him. Folkes just early on that one as he tries to flick down the ground, but he survives. Still 486 for 7. McBride in again. Gets through his overs quite quickly. Attempted lap sweep. Not sure that's come off, but it's beaten Balbirnie at slip. Flew along the ground. It wasn't a chance. I think Alex Wharf is going to signal leg bye. Oh, he's on the umpire. No, just a bye. So that missed everything on the way through. An attempted paddle sweep from Folkes. Yet to get off the mark, but he does get down the other end and get Foxcroft on strike, who is on 96.
Yeah, it's been a good battle between Foxcroft and McBride. So be interesting to see how he goes about this, whether he's hit quite well down the ground, Foxcroft, but whether he actually decides to maybe try a sweep or even a reverse sweep to get that run, those runs he needs.
Yeah, well, if he's
got 3 figures,
if he's going to get a boundary down the ground, he's going to have to hit it dead straight because there are 2 men back. You can try take on a sweep well behind square if he fancies it, but McBride is bowling quite quick, so perhaps quite difficult to get down on one knee. And he is going to try sweep. Has he picked the gap at deep square? Work for Carmichael to do. He comes around. That's a good sliding stop. But Foxcroft will come back for 2, and that takes him to 98.
Yeah, excellent for him, okay, Carmichael on the boundary behind square there.
In the midst of this, slightly chaotic half an hour, the sunshine has just completely disappeared at Stormont. It's clouded over. It's very grey. I don't think they're rain clouds. It doesn't look too ominous. That hasn't stopped Mark Ellison. He's still got his shades on. I don't think he's taken them off at any stage today. It was a catch. Is it taken? It is. Dean Foxcroft falls on 98. Caught at short fine leg by Ruben Wilson. The 28-year-old falls just short of a test match in his first innings. That will be the end of the New Zealand innings. They have declared on 490 for 8. Foxcroft falls, caught at short fine leg off the bowling of Andy McBride for 98.
Yeah, Dean Foxcroft there just threw his head back in frustration. He knew that chance was there for him. He played the sweep shot so clinically, the ball before, or a couple of deliveries before to McBride, but McBride there has ended up with the last laugh. That was a good little battle between them, and McBride will probably take a little bit of confidence out of that he's won that little battle.
Yes, a first wicket of the day for Andy McBride. He finishes with figures of 1 for 99, went at 4.5, just got a little bit of tap there as New Zealand tried to accelerate things. Also, Blundell played him really well yesterday as the Irish team walks off to a sign of appreciation from the Stormont crowd. 490 for 8 is what New Zealand have posted. Reminder, because it's a 4-day test, I believe I'm correct in saying that the margin for a follow-on, the risk of sounding overly pessimistic, is 150 runs rather than 200. So let's run through the scorecards. New Zealand lost the toss yesterday and they were put into bat. They batted all through the day and 1 hour and 55 minutes into day 2. It started off brilliantly for Ireland. Tom Latham shouldering arms and seeing his off stump disturbed with the second ball of the match. Devon Conway fell for 4 not too long afterwards, caught by Liam McCarthy diving at mid-wicket off the bowling of Adair. Kane Williamson scored 36. He was removed LBW by the debutant. McCarthy trapped in the crease a little bit. Rachin Ravindra hit the first 100 seen at this ground in Test match cricket, 121 of 194 balls. Daryl Mitchell next on the scorecard, he nicked off to Adair for 1. Tom Blundell batted through the day and lasted overnight. He came back out this morning and fell on 186, falling in the deep to giving Ruben Wilson his first Test match wicket. Dean Foxcroft was the last wicket to fall. He fell on 98 moments ago, caught by Wilson at short fine up the bowling of McBride. Nathan Smith was run out by Jake Egan, and Zach Folkes is the unbeaten batter on 0. Mark Adair didn't bowl today. He's been sick overnight. He is yet to take the field. We'll see if he bats later on today if required. He bowled 20 overs on day 1, 3 for 66. Pick of the Irish attack. Tom Mays chaired the new ball, none for 52 off 23. Wilson picked up his first Test wicket, as we said earlier this morning, 1 for 89 off 25. Liam McCarthy, 24 overs, 1 for 130. The most expensive of the Irish bowlers, but perhaps we'll explain why in a few minutes. Andy McBride, 22 overs, 1 for 99. And Harry Tector got Ravindra last night, remember, who holed out to deep mid-wicket. 5 overs, 1 for 33. Actually, he was the most expensive of the Irish bowlers. Tim, general thoughts?
General thoughts? Well, it's a cricket cliche, but it's going to be a tricky period here for Ireland. As you mentioned before, we've had glorious sunshine for most of this test so far, and then in the last 15-20 minutes, it's just clouded over here. There's still a breeze coming across the ground. It's still quite warm, but will those overheads just give those New Zealand new ball pair a little bit of confidence and a little bit of something to work with? We did see a little bit of movement, obviously, when Ireland bowled yesterday morning when it took those 4 wickets in the first session or so. So it's going to be a very, very difficult session here for Ireland to navigate.
Yeah, they'll have just under half an hour or so until lunch. We'll stay on the air. Hopefully we'll be back out in about 5 minutes or so, I reckon. So we'll chat through the next 5 minutes, and then we'll probably let Roger McCann and Mark Ellison guide you through until lunch for the final half an hour of play. But reminder, this is an extended session, as it is in this 4-day test. Every morning session will be 2.5 hours rather than the regulation 2. So lunch comes at 1:30 local time. Just watching the Black Caps warming up here. Nathan Smith is out bowling, unsurprisingly. Daryl Mitchell has got the orange catch-it out in front of him, and he's taking some grabs. He looks like he's going to be one of the slippers for the Black Caps. The pitch, it's only a light roller for Ireland, no heavy roller between innings. The ground staff are also just remarking things. Quite a lot of dust coming up off the surface as it's getting brushed. I mean, there isn't a lot of grass on it, and it has been reasonably hot until about 20 minutes ago. So maybe a sign that things are breaking up a little bit and becoming a little bit dusty.
Yeah, it might be an opportunity there for the New Zealand spinners as that ball gets older, and later in the day I suspect we'll see them at some point. But yeah, it's going to be this period coming up is going to be crucial for Ireland, probably in this Test match, if they can just get themselves through to lunch and then there might be an opportunity if the sun peeps back out from behind the clouds here at Stormont to make a bit more hay in this afternoon.
Yeah, it'll be a tricky little half an hour, 25 minutes for them. I think the goal here just has to be to survive, doesn't it? Make sure you get through to lunch. Try not to give the Black Caps any more momentum. It's a kind of ideally timed for them, isn't it? That they get a short burst now, get to put the feet up for 40 minutes, the opening bowlers, and then they'll almost get a second go at it while the ball's still quite new. Just the psychological boost of having... it's not really 2 goes at the new ball. The ball will still be, 7 or 8 overs old, depending on how quickly they get through their overs. But, the chance to refresh and go against 2 batters who got to start their innings twice, essentially. And word on the Irish attack, difficult, 2 and 3/4 sessions after a strong morning yesterday. Liam McCarthy, the most expensive of the seamers. I think that's just the nature of what he was asked to do, wasn't it? Asked to be a bit of an enforcer, bowl short on a sluggish pitch, got carted away through the leg side a few times. But I don't think any of the Irish attack was necessarily poor, just finding it difficult with a lack of pace on a flat pitch.
Yeah, I agree with all of what you said there, Nathan. I think that's a very fair assessment of things. There perhaps was a little bit of lack of variety, I think, is what we've mentioned previously in Ireland's attack. And on that pitch, you think someone like Josh Little, if he could have, he might have been expensive at times, but might have just produced that kind of magic ball that you'd have needed, that bit of variety with the left arm. I think that's perhaps what was missing from the Irish attack. But I think it's been a decent effort against a pretty competent and all strong looking New Zealand side. A few of the punters now kind of lining up, trying to get pints in this little mini break, avoiding the full lunchtime rush, using this kind of 10 minutes between innings.
Yeah, reasonably sized crowd here at Stormont. That lone stand over on the next to the Dundonald Road, it's not full. It probably was full about this time yesterday, I suppose. Maybe a few punters who had perched up there, as you said, have gone to find some libations. Box hospitality up in the balcony, reasonably full. Quite a few suits. There were a few, famous faces there yesterday. A few local officials. I think First Minister and Deputy First Minister of Northern Ireland were here taking pictures with Sarah Keane, the new Cricket Ireland CEO. Well, relatively new. She's a few months in now. She's starting to find her feet. Looks like we're not too far away from the resumption of play. The Black Caps have put away their temporary stumps that they use on the square while warming up. Kane Williamson has now emerged just to do some fielding practice, and as we get going, a few catches being hit, but they look pretty relaxed. They're the Kiwis just standing over on the boundary's edge, looking forward to a 25-minute mini burst here. Ian Callender's come up to say hello. It's 490. 490 is the total. I think the scoreboard here at the ground might have been confusing some people. At one point it said 491. I've been looking at Cricket Info on my laptop because we can't see the scoreboard. So I think we got it right. I'm pretty sure I said 490. Do you know what, Rog? Why don't you come in and you can guide us through to lunch, and I'll go give Ellie a tap and he can give Tim a bit of a break as well. Just a reminder, you are listening to a live edition of the Irish Cricket Podcast, giving you ball-by-ball commentary of this first test match between Ireland and New Zealand. Well, first and only. New Zealand have declared half an hour before lunch they're going to have a little dart at Ireland after putting 490 on the board. If you want to get in touch with us, the irishcricketpod@gmail.com. Here to guide you through to lunch is Roger McCann. I think he's going to be shortly joined by Mark Ellison.
Thank you, Nathan. Yeah, there may be a few picnic boxes are being opened around the place, but no one's leaving their seats because they want to see how Ireland can respond to this Kiwi attack, which, let's not forget, is a very fresh one in itself. We've no debutants, but we're going to see 3 men that have 4 caps each, and then Ben Sears has just played once before. So it's a raw attack, and Mark Ellison will be able to give us some good insights into them. Tim, just before you go away, have you seen much of these Kiwi bowlers?
Well, obviously they're missing some of the bigger names.
Uh-huh.
The Kyle Jamiesons and Matt Henry and Will O'Rourke are missing. So I can't profess to have seen a great deal.
Yeah, they're slightly unknown quantities for a lot of the cricket world, and especially these Irish batsmen.
So it'll be the situation is still going to be a tricky one, kind of regardless. I would imagine they're going to be those similar. These guys will be used to bowling similar conditions in South Africa, in New Zealand domestic cricket. So I would imagine they'll be searching around on a tricky length, trying to look for those little nibbles early on.
Yeah, some of this cloud has just burnt off again. It's not. It's changeable conditions, but it's not the sort of cloud cover that. Well, there will be swing. It's hard to tell.
Patches of blue
Patches
sky.
of blue, yeah. Thank you for describing it better than me. It's still a hot day. When the sun bursts through, we're still feeling the heat from it. But remains to be seen how these conditions. I will be able to reveal now. Mark and I were talking off air, and he was right to think that Nathan Smith is going to get the first go. As we say thank you to Tim, and we'll see you later on the day. And Mark Ellison comes back in beside me, and Mark, who has a good knowledge of his compatriots here, he was right that Nathan Smith, the man from Oamaru, is going to take this Dukes.
That's right, not too many Test cricketers from that part of the world, but shout out to North Otago Hawke Cup team there. Nathan Smith proudly represented for a number of occasions for the early stages of his career before moving up to Wellington.
Yeah, and then he's joined Surrey, was it two or three seasons ago? That's where I first saw him. And anyway, he's got the ball in hand, he's ready, and he's running into Stephen Doheny away from us. Quick action, and Doheny's from the crease, able to play that comfortably enough into the offside. Doheny, the first time he's opened for Ireland, an opener by trade, but his previous appearance was in the middle order. And he just gestured to his captain down at the other end. Andrew Balbirnie, of course, has opened for Ireland for a while now, having also begun as a middle order player. But it's these two Ireland men who, 24 minutes to navigate, they'd love to go into lunch with 0 in the wickets column, but Smith is running away, really charging in. And he hits him on the pad, a huge appeal, and he's given. Oh, the second ball of the innings, strikes again, caught in the crease. Stephen Doheny has to go second ball. Ireland are none for one.
That's a real shame. I think really good reward. Stephen Doheny getting an opportunity to play Test cricket, second Test. A real stalwart of the domestic scene here. He's played a number of seasons for a number of the provinces, and unfortunately got a decent ball from Smith there. It looks to have just hurried him. He wasn't able to commit fully forward to a shot there taken on the pad, and the umpire really had no hesitation there. Yeah,
Ali McCallum confirms he was dead. The slips went up. Nathan Smith was imploring. Rod Tucker had a good look at it, and unfortunately it sent the unfortunate batsman on his way. Stephen Doheny, well, now he's been replaced by another young player, Cade Carmichael, another diminutive player. He's just scratching his guard. But a nervous moment for everyone with an Irish persuasion right now. Smith, he's got 3 slips at gully, point, mid-off. The short leg, it's a standard opening field, and Smith raring to go here with this new ball in his hand as he's coming up again. Is left, but there's gasps from the New Zealanders. Was a good leave from Carmichael, and he's got to focus immediately here. It's such an example of when you earn that first innings lead, you can dictate the game, put Ireland in whenever you want, and that scoreboard pressure.
Really like the look of early body language from Carmichael. He actually ran out to bat. He passed Doheny as he was halfway off, so a really good sign that he's keen to get out there and get amongst the contest in the next 20 minutes.
That's good. He has to. He's sizing up. Smith now, it's hit him a mid-shape, so straight ball, he's maybe looking to turn it around the corner, but no harm done. Yeah, Mark, forgive me, we haven't been on much together, but we know you have a batting mentality podcast, and that's very much, you have a lot of study in that. Do you know much about Carmichael? Have you spoken to him about his mentality? You like his body language? You like his approach?
Yep, I'm really impressed with everything that Cade brings to the crease every time he plays. He's got a great game. I was fortunate enough to be feeding a bowling machine to him a number of years ago over the winter, and was at 93 miles an hour, and he didn't have any worries dealing with that.
That's excellent. Oh, he's just been beaten by Smith. That's okay. Played inside the line, held his line maybe, swung away past the outside edge.
Yeah, good testing opening here from Smith. certainly making the batsman play, just beating the outside edge. And yeah, Carmichael, look, I think he's got a big future in the game here. Really good accumulator of runs in the longer forms, and has the ability to actually adapt his game in the shorter forms too, and can be really explosive on his day. So he'll be looking to navigate this next 20 minutes here and try and get through and enjoy some lunch before setting his stall out this afternoon.
Yeah, Smith is hungry for wickets. So edged. It's carried. Second slip. He's done him 2 in the over. Perfect new ball bowling. And Carmichael was sort of half forward, easily gobbled up in the cordon. And Ireland are still runless, and there's 2 men back in the hutch.
Incredible start from Nathan Smith there, once again, as we talked about, bowling a line of length, just enticing the batsman to play enough but taking the outside edge of the blade. And unfortunately, Carmichael last 2 balls himself. So is that 3 balls? And he's on his way back to the pavilion. And similarly, good to see Harry Tector charging out to bat as well. Ireland need to get through a tough period here and then start to build a partnership.
Yes. Chilling memories of Ireland's first test. Pakistan reduced Ireland to 4 for 3 that day. This is even more perilous. And at least one small consolation is that Nathan Smith is coming down to fine leg, but he's done huge damage with just his first 6 balls. Harry Tector will at least get to have a look from the other end, as Balbirnie will now face the other new ball threat. And that is going to come from Zachary Folkes. He's at the end of his mark now, running towards us from the Dundonald end, skipping in. And he gets one back of a length that just gets Balbirnie in the groin area. But Folkes will be looking to pitch it up and swing it, won't he? That's his modus operandi.
So Smith goes away from the right-hander through the air, and Folkes will do the opposite. He'll swing the ball in at a decent clip into the right-hander. So Balbirnie's taken one early on the thigh pad there, and I imagine there'll be a few more hitting the pads, as he's quite an awkward action, quite quick arm action, and he's on you a little bit quicker than you expect.
Yeah, I was very intrigued by Folkes watching him over the winter. He has the skippy action, but then the quick arm. Balbirnie will get off Ireland's reply off the mark at least, and there's relieved applause. Smith's still in the action. He feels well, sends in a good return. They can only get 1, but at least we're off the dreaded 0. And no one knows that better than Andrew Balbirnie, what it feels like to get off the knot, and a small bit of relief. Harry Tector now will face up to Zach Folkes. Yeah, like I say, I watched him over the winter, and he really does hoop the ball. And I was just going to say, just before Donny with that edge, that the sun had come back out. So if you just want a bit of reassurance for Ireland, the sun's out. They're 2 experienced batters at the crease, but there's still a very dangerous 18 minutes to get through here. And Tector waits for his first ball. Back of a leg beats him. Quish, really sharp. They immediately seem to be extracting a bit more life out of this pitch. I mean, they have a new cherry in their hand, of course, but there's extra pace through the air from these bowlers, right?
It's funny what a little bit of energy can bring, and how it makes the wicket look quite different. Now, interestingly, a leg gully has gone into play here for Tector. Might be something that the New Zealand analysts have picked up, but certainly with the way Folkes shapes the ball through the air, it's definitely an opportunity to get Tector out early here.
Yeah, 3 slips as well. This one's on a length, maybe stayed a bit low, but Tector covers up safely enough. I should say it was Tom Latham who took that catch at second slip in the first over. He's there with Mitchell at first, clapping his hands. They've all got sweaters on, so we need to just recognise them by their... the main grabbers are Mitchell and Latham. The leg slippy is a genuine leg slip. He's fine. And Zach Folkes has the ball in. Real bounce, whistles past the shoulder of the bat. Blundell, the keeper, was taking that on the rise, and a zip being provided from these 2.
Just an incredibly awkward period here. This 20-minute spell just gives the New Zealand bowlers a chance to come in nice and hard for that short period of time, really test out just what is happening with this wicket, as we've touched on, the odd ball keeping low, the odd ball picking up pace as it goes, and asking a lot of questions early on the Irish batsman.
Tector just asks for a moment. He wants to just remove a bit of something from the middle of the pitch, a bit of gardening. Very polite. He asked, and thanks to the rest of the Black Caps for waiting for him, but it just adds a bit of extra tension now. There's a nervous hush at Stormont. Ireland 1 for 2. Tector peering forward. He leaves this one through. There's a gasp, but a pretty good leave. It's the end of Folkes is over. 1 for 2.
So Tector here, 5 half centuries in his 18 Test match innings to date before today. I was speaking with him a few months ago, and he made it clear that he's aware that he doesn't yet have that Test match 100. And while it is a long way away today, there'd be no doubting just how important a big score would be. He certainly looks up for the contest, as he always is. His body language is really strong. I know he's keen to get into the contest today, so back to Smith, bowling from the city end.
Yeah, it was something that Nathan and Ali talked about before this game. You know, what are the realistic expectations for Aaron, what they kind of come with, and we'd want to see big scores from this top order, especially Balbirnie and Tector are the big names, and neither of them have 3 figures in a test yet. Balbirnie is in defence, and he'll get a quick single. Tector responded quickly. He had to, because the cover was round quickly, and it's a lot to talk about 3 figures when we're 2 for 2, but I think the listeners, you know what I was saying, Balbirnie's highest score in test is a 95, Harry has an 85. And we're saying this just because we know these guys have the ability to do it. They're the class players. They have enough body of work behind them at this level now. And if Ireland are to do anything in staying in this game, the top order has to produce.
Yeah, it's just this tricky period. You get through this first sort of 30, 45 minutes of batting, and as we've seen New Zealand batsmen make the most of getting through that tough period and then able to capitalise later on.
So here's Smith's first ball at Tector. It's left alone outside off stump. He's bowled 8 balls and he's bowled at 4 different batsmen already. That shows that he must be going well. Nathan Smith, yeah, he's got 2 for none so far. He could be, well, he's already done something very special, very memorable in this game. And
probably his widest delivery there. Tector pretty comfortable in leaving that one alone through to the keeper. Smith will be looking to get back in and around that off stump and get Tector fending out into the offside. Yeah,
there's a 4th slip has gone in now. 4th slip in a gully. Tector looking at this defends a straight ball in the onside. There's no run. Tector has that very crouched batting technique. Do you talk to your coach batting technique? I know you're fascinated by all things batting. It's similar to the Blundell technique with very sort of crouched forward stand, the bat raised high.
Yeah, I think the nature of it is you want to get yourself into a position where you can move really quickly forward and back, and most guys seem to access that by crouching down a little bit lower. It just means the weight tends to be more towards your toes in your stance.
And Tector being such a small man, it's very pronounced, or tall man I should say. That's a thick edge, controlled. I feel it in the slips, there's no run. Yeah, Tector must be, 6'4", 6'5"? He's one of the tallest batters, sort of Peterson dimensions, maybe even taller. So it's this method that he's developed and honed, and such an intense, talented guy. There's such a lot of affection for Harry Tector in Irish cricket that we're all as there is for Balbirnie, and Balbirnie has a Test match average of 23, which I don't think does justice to his talents. But until you put those numbers up, that's what goes against you. Tector faces Smith. And defence from the crease. He won't get a run. But Smith still with... he's conceded 1. He got 2 for 1, I said earlier. Balbirnie got that 1 run off him. The only runs of this innings are 2 singles to Andrew Balbirnie. And people are nervously watching the clock. You're almost wishing it to get to 1:30 so Ireland can regroup. But on the flip side of things, the New Zealanders will want to bowl as many overs as they can before the interval. A small hold up, something perhaps just distracted Tector, but he's ready now. Long approach from Smith, but he really gets into a sprint, and he's in. and just at the top of the bat, no run on the onside. End of the over, 2 for 2.
Great starts from Smith there. We talk about the types of questions he's asking of the batsman. He's testing the outside edge. He's also bringing the bowled and LBW into play, given the line he's bowling. And then there's the odd one that's going to look to shape away and then maybe nip back. And that last one did that. It nipped back. Tector was in a good position over the top, head over the top of the ball, was able to fend it high off the stickers into the ground. And there is a bat pad in place. So if that managed to grab a shoulder, you'd be bringing that player into a catching opportunity.
Yeah, he's not a top. What would you put the height? Is he about 6 foot on the dot, Smith? And folks similar. Maybe he's an inch or two. They're neither of these opening bowlers are tall men, but then with Tickner and Sears to come, and they'll be 6'4", 6'5". So, Mark, you and I were talking about the variety of this attack and some unusual actions that you were talking about the Dale Hadley school of New Zealand bowlers that was of a different time, but now this current attack have got their own unique raw actions, and they're allowed to flourish with those.
Yeah, I'd say Nathan Smith's probably more of the Dale Hadley school of bowling, a quite economical action, good strong front arm, shapes the ball away from the right-hander, whereas Folkes is quite unique, kicks his front leg out in front. It means that he's able to get that wrist position, angling in towards the right-hander, and as a consequence, obviously swings the ball beautifully at a decent clip, sort of in and around that 85 mile an hour mark, 80 to 85. So Balbirnie back on strike here.
Yeah, there was a bit of a hold up there, but we're ready to go again. Balbirnie waits for Folkes, and he's forward in defence, defending into the gully safely. Yeah, both sets of subs came on with bibs and towels. I'm not quite sure why, but possibly a bit of stalling. We might just get 2 more overs in. And Balbirnie will try to exude some calm into his side and around the ground and around any Irish listeners or nervous watchers. He has to lead from the front here. That's the Pembroke man. His bat is raised, waiting, and he leaves this one comfortably through. Have you talked much to Andy Balbirnie about his? Is he not one of your mentality guys? Do you know him much? Or
no, I haven't spent much time talking to Balbirnie about his game, but a guy that's succeeded probably more in the 50 over form of the game. He's got some really significant hundreds against Afghanistan, and not only neutral conditions, but away from home too.
He waits now, and he has time to play this in the offside again. He's found a gap, and he will get through for a run. Ireland to 3 for 2, inching up into their total. But I've always admired Balbirnie. I've always felt he was, an orthodox, correct technique. Plays very straight, plays very well, good down the ground. Occasionally doesn't get a huge stride in, but clearly has all of the talent. He can be very attractive when he gets going, but he's made himself into an opener, I think, on the basis of this strong technique. Tector he's covering up textbook fashion as well. No run there.
Yeah, recall Balbirnie having a really strong 2015 World Cup in Australia and New Zealand. Mm-hmm. Seemed to really come into his own on those bouncier wickets in Australia, and then continued in some of the innings in New Zealand. Yeah. And obviously a veteran of the side now, as I said, seems to have performed really well against spin, the likes of Rashid Khan, a really experienced and wily spin attack of Afghanistan. So he'll be in different sort of skills will be tested today.
Tector's beaten on the shoulder again. Big bounce from Folkes from back of the length. From that, he has a low delivery, but he's getting the ball. I mean, to beat the shoulder of Harry Tector's bat, that tells you that there's bounce, and Tector will go and tap the pitch. And Blundell is taking the ball higher than Tucker, was a good couple of feet higher than Tucker in it, apart from any of the bouncers. So it's really encouraging for this Black Caps attack. Tector got to be really watchful here. He's very good soft hands, and he'll he'll get that bonus that openers are entitled to, the soft-handed, thick edge that goes through the slips, and it's Ireland's first boundary. We're 7 for 2.
Yeah, he did play that well. Seemed to get away on him a little bit, take the outside blade and just trickled through the gully area away for 4. So he'll be pleased with the way he played that. And obviously he'd love to have got it in the middle of the bat, but it beated him, and he still managed to stay on top of the bounce and guide that away through. Just a sign again that there's a little bit of variability in the bounce in this wicket, which is probably something we want to see as we head into sort of days 2 and 3. We want to see a little bit of variability there, just to keep batsmen on their toes and try and bring more modes of dismissal into the game as the game progresses.
Smith into his third over. And a nice looking cut shot, really well played by Bernie. Judged the length, rocked back and just caressed this one through the vacant point. And 2 boundaries in a row, 11 for 2.
Yeah, a little bit more width from Smith there, and Balburney's rocked back into what is almost his trademark shot there, going back and across and sort of punching with a slightly sort of 45-degree angle blade, and no point in place with New Zealand opting for the extra slip and getting his first boundary.
Yeah, whistled along nicely. That's another encouraging moment. The first 4 off the middle of the bat. Balburney exuding calm here, and he pushes forward. He'll get a run into the offside, and the smatterings of applause you can feel the relief and from the Irish crowd, can't you? Every run now is just, there's a smattering of applause, and yeah, I imagine there will be another over after this. New Zealand have been quick to get through them. They've been on the front foot from a bowling perspective. So Harry's still doing a bit of gardening, maybe trying to stall the time, but I don't think he can ring this over right. Well, we'll see. You never know. He might. But Smith is really eager to charge in and get to the crease. It's left alone by Tector.
Yeah, some good gamesmanship from Tector there. Just making sure he's ready to go, and you don't need to face any more balls than time allows. So if it means he's chewing up 1 or 2 extras, then that makes sense. But he's just walked away to behind the stumps there. He's trying to give himself a good opportunity to make sure he's moving well forward, well back. Smith's bowling a really testing line and length there, so he's going to have to be at his best.
Yeah, you just want to take a bit of the heat out of the atmosphere, don't you, as a batter, so that you're fully calm and fully focused. Smith charging in, hits him on the pad, a huge appeal. It went out into the leg side, which suggests it was heading down that direction. Tucker says no. Pretty decent shot, though. Did you think? He'd gone across his stumps.
There's a little bit of bat involved there, so actually bringing the bat pad into play. And once again, that's the nip backer that Nathan Smith has the ability to bowl. And the bat pad very nearly in play there. It's probably a metre too deep to be able to give himself a chance of catching that one. Yeah,
okay. They did. That's Conway, isn't it, under the lid? He usually does that duty. I think he crouches down again, and Smith is in. And again, it's on the leg side. It hits the pad. It picked up safely by, I think that's Devon Conway with a left-handed throw. Ravindra, thank you. He also throws it left. Where, but should identify these fielders for you. I know Williamson. He was the man at leg slip earlier. I think he's at 4th. Forgive us, it's quite hard to see from so far away. I can tell you that Tickner's at mid-off because his back is right in front of me. Ravindra under the helmet, about 10 yards from the bat, just in front of square. Nathan Smith is charging in. Played into the onside where Ben Sears does the feeling. I recognise him because he's very tall. End of the over. It's 12 for 2 in response to New Zealand's 490 for 8 declared. So one more before lunch, Mark. Pretty dominant session.
Yeah, look, it has been. New Zealand well and truly on top.
Oh, sorry, there's one more ball left in the over. My bad. But sorry, Mark, sorry.
Yeah, well and truly on top. Ireland will be happy to get away to lunch with no further loss.
Smith's in. Oh, he beats the bat. Doesn't carry well through to Blundell, but Tector played on the wrong line. That is the over. And there still will be time for another one. 12 for 2. Got a few tweets here. Nathan's on my right. Well, we'll just wrap up this final over. Andrew Balbirnie. Here's one from Adam Mealy. We've got time to. No, we don't. We'll read this in a second because Zach Folks is skipping in. Full ball driven back pass. He's got a hand on it, but Balbirnie will pick up a couple of runs straight. He is a good straight driver. Oh, Tector wanted to come back. Balbirnie wasn't so sure. He should have trusted his man, and now he apologises because that felt like it. I think Balbirnie didn't trust how well he timed it. Maybe he thought that Folks had got a better hand on it, but anyway, they get two. Here's a tweet from Adam Mealy. My son is due to be a mascot on Saturday. Is looking forward to it and everything. Disappointment builds character, I suppose. Come on, Adam Mealy's son. Don't be. It's too early to be disappointed. There's a lot of fight left in this Ireland top order. There's 18 wickets for the Black Caps to take, and don't be too despondent. This is back of a leg edged. Oh, I think it didn't carry the second. It turned Balbirnie square. He gets down the other end.
It's a funny old game. As much as it's looked very difficult in this opening period, once the shine goes out of the ball, the seam is a little bit softer. There won't be quite as much assistance for the swing and seam bowlers. So there's every chance this wicket flattens out, and if they can this pair can just hang in there and get through this tough period, there are plenty runs available this afternoon.
Quite right. That's the ideal batting mentality that Ireland need. Folks in and driven nicely by Tector. Probably not out of the meat, but he'll certainly pick up a couple through the covers. And good to see Tector getting a good stride in, meeting the pitch of the ball. I want to describe this Folks action. He holds the ball up by his throat almost. He has this very sort of skippy, light on his toes, tippy toes, kind of springy run up. And then, like you say, his left, you were saying how he generates the swing. The left leg kind of shoots out, and it's curious, but it's...
He's like one of those water insects, those insects you see that are sort of able to run on water. That's how he ends up sort of finishing his run-up.
Yeah, that's good. I like that. He's in. Big, strong left arm as well. Left alone by Tector. He has that strong front arm, and that's how he generates. This is a real zip off the pitch. I'm enjoying watching Zach Folks. He's yet to take it. It was Smith that did the damage in the first over. If you're just joining us, Ireland, if you thought 1 o'clock was a dead time, everyone was having lunch, you'd be mistaken, because Ireland were really in the midst of it. Nathan Smith struck on the second and sixth ball of the over. Ireland were none for two, but they've got to relative safety so far. A couple of balls to navigate. They'll get a run off the thick edge of Harry Tector's bat. They should get a second. If they turn, Tector's a good runner. And with the clock having ticked past 1:30, we'll soon be able to have a light repast. Ireland 18 for 2, Tector 6, Balbirnie on 11. And Zachary Folks skipping in again. Oh, again, that's that short of a length ball that flies past the edge. I think Tector played inside it comfortably enough. And he will be relieved to hear the umpires calling lunch with Ireland 18 for 2. Earlier in the day, New Zealand got their total up to 490 before they declared with 8 wickets down. Blundell expanded his score to 186. Foxcroft, sadly, 2 runs short of a ton on debut. And we will see you in about 40 minutes.